Some of the greatest words that will ever be said on a Friday. It's a football Friday with Big Sills on the National Football Show. And by the way, we are powered by our friends from BetUS. For the next 4 hours, please hit the like button. Today, truth, justice, and the Big Sills way. Only place you get that. You don't get that any longer anywhere else, especially in Philly. Snowflake Philly Media, how you doing? Welcome aboard. You want some content? This is the place to go. Holy shit, I went trolling around looking for some Philly content. I can't find it. You know why? It sucks. It sucks. What happened to that Krauss and Broad thing? That thing, I went over there and thought I was watching The View. Holy shit. It's like a website for The View. Now, this is how we do things here. Nothing about the Joel Embiid assault on Marcus Hayes. Of course not. WIP. Hey, Nikki, how you feeling? Like they're doing seances over there. I'm not even sure 97.5 is still on the air, so I don't even know what the fuck they're doing. But welcome aboard. Welcome aboard on the only place where you get the truth. Hey, I got to tell you something. I really absolutely dig your idiotic coach. You know, I won't lie to you. When I first started covering the Eagles, I had no idea you guys were this interesting. You know, there's that chick in school or in your place of business. She kind of looks like a nerd. Nobody kind of like pays any kind of attention to her. Okay? I mean, nobody. All of a sudden you find out, holy shit, man, there's a personality. Holy shit, she's a little more complex than I thought. Holy shit, she's got a little drama to her. I don't like a ton of drama, but I like some, as you can tell. Hit the like button. God, I love it. And then you get your girlfriend, Nicholas Sirianni. You know what really kills me? I hate that I have to kill this paisan every day. I do. But he just brings it on himself. I've never seen more of an idiot in my life. He just doesn't know when to leave well enough alone. And on top of that, you know what else he doesn't know? Less is more. Less is more. You don't have to be the boys to the media. They do not like you. They have a job to do. They don't like you, Nick. And Nick, you shouldn't like them or trust them. Dude, all the years that I've been doing this, I'm lucky that I have forged these relationships. You know why? Because I was on the other side of the mic. Probably shouldn't show you that. Yeah. Hey, I'm on the other side of the mic. And I've forged some really great relationships. Okay? So Nick Sirianni's at a press conference today, and he tells everybody Hurts has an ankle injury. Or it's bothering him. What am I going to do if I'm Mike Zimmer now? I'm going to blitz the shit out of that guy because I have nothing else to lose. I'm just going to blitz Jalen Hurts. Let's find out if that thing's real. And I'm going to bring pressure on that guy from the beginning of the game to the end of the game. By the way, all Super Chats go to the top. First 15 minutes are some of the most important minutes when it comes to our like button. Please hit it. Thank you. Man, seeing those quarterbacks last night made me jealous. Hang on, I'm getting there. Hey, wait a minute. Abe, an honest mistake? I'm not saying it wasn't. He's an idiot. You have a microphone in front of you. Know your role. Give nothing away. That's like giving troop locations away when you're going into battle. Hey, by the way, I was over there on Omaha Beach. And guess what? My boys were sitting in the foxhole. Hey, man, why should you tell the guy the foxhole location? Oh. Hey, thanks, sir. You just put a target on my ankle. What an idiot. That's your coach. Hey, my quarterback's got an ankle injury. Hey, Mike Zimmer. Hey, Mike. Mike, yeah, did you hear it? Hurts has got a little bit of an ankle injury, so I think we should blitz 70% of the time. Let's bring some complex. Oh, yeah, Parsons is playing? Great. Let's make sure we line him up over a position where let's see if this guy can still read defenses. You ready, Mike? Okay. No. Last week, the Jags got home 3 times. Parsons can get home. Just don't put him on lane. Looks like Velcro. All right. There you go. Hey, Blue Horseshoe says, blitz hurts. That's a reference if you're older like me. Blue Horseshoe says, blitz hurts. What a complete jackass. And by the way, I'm putting Micah Parsons on Frederick Frankenstein Johnson. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm putting Micah Parsons on Frederick Frankenstein Johnson. How you doing? Hey, by the way, the foxhole has 7 soldiers in it, and it's over there on Omaha Beach. Hey, thank you, General Eisenhower. I appreciate it. Holy cow, man. Unbelievable. I could not believe when I heard it. I'm like, he didn't just say that, did he? Yeah, Hurts has an ankle injury. Holy shit. Oh, my God. It doesn't get any better than that. If you're the Cowboys, how many people? I didn't know Hurts was hurt. And leave AJ and Smitty one-on-one. Yet those guys are hurt too. So you got a hurt quarterback and both your guys. Saquon. Yeah, Xander's trying to fight me on this. Saquon to the rescue. Saquon's the biggest life preserver Hurts has ever had. Because you see, you got to remember one thing about AJ. No matter if you have AJ on the field or not, like you had last year, you don't win games. You ain't winning without that dude. You ain't winning without that dude. You think Sidney Brown takes snaps from CJ? God, you can only hope, Nate. God, you can only hate. That you can only hope that, Nate. By the way, we'll give you our predictions. Cowboys and the injured Eagles going into Arlington, where you haven't won in 6 games, 6 years. Okay. Load management. Those are always good words to hear in the NFL. Yeah. No, not load management. Your quarterback is injured. By the way, wow. Man, I wish the Eagles had a quarterback like those dudes last night. What a fucking freak show that thing was. What a great football game between 2 superstar quarterbacks. By the way, AFC North, divisional game, not uncommon for those games to be close. Just like I told you, since 2000, the Eagles have a 2-game advantage over the Dallas Cowboys. 25 wins, 23 losses. All those games always end up equaling out. They're always close because they're divisional games. And I love that Zach Taylor went for 2. He went for the win. His team needed it. Had to do it. Hit the like button, all. Thank you for coming aboard on this Football Friday. What a spectacular performance last night by Lamar Jackson. I mean, spectacular. Burrow was insane last night. That's quarterbacking 101. Jamar Chase, 264 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns. 11 catches. Insanity. Joe Burrow, 34 of 56, 428 and 4 touchdowns. Lamar Jackson, 25 of 33, 290, 4 touchdowns. And this is when Derrick Henry only had 68 yards rushing. I've never seen a guy play better football than what Lamar's playing right now. Let me give you some context to this. Lamar Jackson is on pace for 4,537 yards. That's the guy you guys predicted. That's going to be 4,600 passing yards. He's never thrown for more than 3,800 yards in his career. Todd Monken's making him a better passer, unlike Kellen Moore with Jalen Hurts. Why is that? Talent level's not there in Philly. And I'm talking at the quarterback position because it's not the perimeter. It's not the perimeter. Todd Monken's doing his job. Your guy's not. You've improved the run game. You're supposed to be improving the passing game, like Monken's improving the passing game in Baltimore. He's on pace. By the way, 41 touchdowns and 3 picks. Do you know he has as many touchdown passes this year in 10 games? He did all of last year when he won the Most Valuable Player award? That guy is insane. You're not beating him. Hey, and I'll make this point. 900 yards rushing. This is by far 123 rating. I've never seen anything like this. That guy is an absolute special player, and I couldn't have been more wrong about this guy. Unfucking believable. And I knew someone was going to bring that. We smoked Cincy. And he almost lost to the Jags. It doesn't work like that, dude. And you almost lost to an even worse team last week in Cincinnati. Or, in Jacksonville. It doesn't work like that. Records don't matter right now also. You think you're better because you have a better record? That fucking means nothing. It didn't a year ago. You won 11 games the same way that Kansas City did, and you were terrible. Means nothing, especially divisional games. Nothing. You add it up at the end, you see who has home field and wins the division. By the way, remember something. Right now, you're sitting in the wild card still. Means nothing. Joe Burrow's on pace for 4,542 yards and 41 touchdowns, 7 picks with a 108. That's how you play the quarterback position. Those two guys there give you a chance to win a Super Bowl. It's just too bad that Joe Burrow plays in Cincinnati, one of the worst cultures in all of pro football. I mean, it's one of the worst cultures of all time. Next to the Jags, I don't think Cincinnati has had a good culture, but maybe 6 years, maybe under Forrest Gregg a little, right? Sam Weiss, maybe a little. Outside of that, the Marvin Lewis era was nowhere. They've never really had a culture, even when Paul Brown owned the team. Okay? I mean, Lamar Jackson, I'm going to make this comment to you. Lamar Jackson is already one of the greatest football players that has ever played the position. Dan Marino didn't win a Super Bowl, and nor did Warren Moon. And I don't need Super Bowls to tell me how great those players were. Lamar Jackson's one of the greatest players I've ever seen play the position. I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen anything like it. Sills, Josh says, Super Chats go to the top. Do you think Joe is frustrated in Cincinnati? I think Joe's frustrated with losing. Got to remember something. He went to LSU and he was at Ohio State. He's frustrated with losing. I don't know what the helmet means. It's just the losing. And if the helmet happens to be Cincinnati, he's probably upset with the organization not doing enough, and Duke Tobin doing enough on the defensive side to retool and to cover some of the players that they have missed on that side of the football. I think Tobin's a good general manager, but when it comes to paying people, they don't pay people except the quarterback in Cincinnati. And you got a problem on the defensive side of the football. Okay? I mean, and by the way, he makes $55 million a year. I'm sure that kind of settles it a little bit. But remember, that's a guy that wants to have a legacy in this sport. Joe Burrow's not just doing it for money. I'm not saying money's not part of this, because it is. And it will always be part of this. But I think they missed on allowing a running back with the likes of Joe Mixon to leave. Not that Joe Mixon has had an impact in Houston because he was banged up, but let's not forget something. Even with Jake Browning a year ago, that guy had $1,000 in rushing. And when you take that dynamic out of the offense, just like we said, think about it. Just like we said with Hurts, when you don't have a formidable running back behind the quarterback, your play action, coordinators are not going to believe it if you have some dude that no one respects. There's a reason people look at Philly now. It's the run game. It's not the freaking passing game. The passing game and the receivers are elite. The quarterback's not. He'll never be. He's 20th now. Like I said, too, when I watch Todd Monken on what he's doing with Lamar Jackson, I don't see that with Kellen Moore and Jalen Hurts. I don't see that same improvement. And you can't either, unless you're lying. Got a lot of people believing in what they're not watching nowadays, so I kind of get it. I call it deniers. He's throwing to tight ends lined up at wide receiver and no blocking. Drew, he was freaking insane last night. It's a mash unit in Cincinnati, but he overcomes it because he's such a great ball player. Okay? He's such a great ball player. Dude, Lamar Jackson is improving as a passer because of the new coordinator they brought in. How about this? You tell me, Lamar Jackson in 2 years with Todd Monken is going to win 2 consecutive most valuable player awards and improve the quarterback that you're paying $51 million to. Do you think he's doing his freaking job? I do. That guy's one of the best players I've ever seen. I don't need a fucking Super Bowl to have that said to me. Use your eyes. Monken is legit. UJOC. When they went back-to-back, I didn't realize that. John, I don't think Jalen is actually hurt. We already know he could struggle without his top people, and it can be used as an excuse if he doesn't win, just like the knee injury last year. I don't know about that. Hey, Xander, let me know if I missed one before Prince here. Records only matter when it pertains to the – I already know that this is stupid. You said the total number of teams we've played were shit. Now to fit the narrative. No, I watched 2. Get this, guys. It doesn't matter. Hang on here, Prince. If you're not watching those 2 guys last night and you watch your guy and you come away saying that Hurts is fucking better than those guys, you're a fucking idiot. You're a fucking idiot. And I'm not going to debate it, Prince. If you come away watching those 2 ball players last night and your guy playing the way he has in the first 8 games and you think your guy's better, I'm not debating you. I'm not debating that. Use your eyeball test, guy. I mean, really, I don't need a fucking record or a Super Bowl to tell me how great those guys were last night. I know what I watched. You must not. Talk about moving the goalpost. How about putting blinders on? How about putting blinders? Hey, by the way, once again, if you walk away telling me that your guy in Philly is better than those 2 guys, you got to. I'm not debating it. I'm not debating it. Look at this guy here. I'll ask you again. Andre, you would take Jalen Hurts over any one of those guys last night, right? I'm not debating that. I am absolutely not debating that. I am not debating that. Wait a minute. On what? On what? I didn't say that the Bengals are better than the Eagles. I didn't say that the Ravens were better than the Eagles. I said those quarterbacks are better than your quarterback. That's not a goalpost move. That's a comment. And if you don't see that, I'm not debating it. Here. You see here? He's great with that opinion because that's how he feels. But it's so far from the truth, and you know it. How about this? Get this. Here, watch this. That just shows you. When I talk to you guys, you're fucking just retarded. I never said that, and I'm an idiot because you're fucking dumb. I said you downplay us. I didn't downplay. I wasn't even talking about the better team. You got all butthurt, Prince. I wasn't talking team. You're talking team. I said those two quarterbacks are sensational. And I knew you guys would tie that in. Jalen's tied to that team. Those two guys are tied to them and who they are. Henry was a non-factor last night. The receivers were okay. Lamar was insane. And if you don't see that, I'm not debating it. I'm talking about, by the way, again, you're tying two different conversations in here. You're tying, by the way, that's a dual threat quarterback. 4,500 yards and 1,000 rushing yards. Yeah. So let me put this right here. Let me get, what's the, okay, so the Ravens are 7-3 now. Let's see. So in the last 2 years, Lamar Jackson has won 29 of 27 ball games too. Okay? Right? And you're 17-9. I don't know. Once again, I'm not debating teams. What narrative changed? I'm talking about two quarterbacks, three quarterbacks. What narrative changed? I said those two quarterbacks are better than anything that's in Philly. And what's the narrative change? What's the narrative change? I wasn't talking about who's a better team. Did you ever hear me say that the Ravens are better than the Eagles here? I never said that. Did you ever hear me say that Cincinnati is a great team? Did you hear me say that? Have you even heard me say anything like, hey, that win against Cincinnati, kind of have to look at it because they shut down those guys and really did a great job. Did you fucking hear me say that? No. Because you know why? You are jumping a narrative that fits your own. I asked you and I told you those two quarterbacks are insane. They're great players. And they're better than the guy in Philly. There's no narrative change. It's a fact. I never at any time said the Ravens are better than Philadelphia. I said what Todd Monken is doing to Lamar Jackson by improving the passing game, and Lamar's passing game is 10 times better than anything Kellen Moore is doing in the passing game with Hurts. And when people go, well, Sills, the receivers have been in and out. This guy's been improving from the first time Monken went in there a year ago because he had no one. Now you're adding more components to him. He's even better. Can you imagine him in Philly? Josh, Lamar Jackson, 25-33, 294 touchdowns, makes Wishbone look foolish. Hey, Josh, I'm not even going to debate it because it makes me look dumb. It just makes me look dumb. Sills, wouldn't you agree that it's easier to develop a dominant running game and a solid passing game utilizing play action than finding an elite quarterback that can pass you out of trouble? I think finding the quarterback, Bob, that passes you out of trouble like Mahomes, I think those guys are very difficult to find. How many times have we said this? Or have you seen this even with Mahomes? I remember a game about 4 years ago, maybe 3.5 years ago, where I think Mahomes was down 3 scores. Maybe it was in the playoffs to the Titans. And he came back and won that ball game. I mean, last night, you see Joe Burrow, what he did? Joe Burrow and his team They were outstanding. Their defense gave it back. Lamar was down incredibly in that game and came back and threw his team out of trouble. That's the first time I've ever seen Lamar Jackson throw his team out of trouble like that and come back and win in a divisional game. All right, basically Jalen can't do what they do or what they do. That was elite passing quarterbacking last night. With less, that's why I went back and forth. Simple. Hey, John, listen, I get what you're saying. I'm not suggesting, hey, listen, John, if Brock Purdy can get to a Super Bowl and almost win it, I'm not saying Jalen Hurts can't. What happens is when you have a comment and you say something like that was elite passing last night, those are elite passers. And you make the point, Hurts is not an elite passer. And Lamar Jackson is becoming an elite passer. And why is that? Because Monken is improving him. Has Kellen, get this, let's do this. Has Kellen Moore improved Jalen Hurts' passing since he's been here? Jalen outplayed Burrow. No, he didn't. Jalen had a better game against a shitty Bengals defense. They don't play against one another. Joe Burrow doesn't play corner. The defense had a great game against Joe Burrow. They did. I wasn't fucking talking about that, Prince. You're having an argument with your fucking self, Prince. That wasn't what I said. I said those two quarterbacks last night showed you what quarterbacking is and how you throw in the passing game, and you have nothing like that in Philly. You're talking to yourself here. Thanks for the super chat. I appreciate it. You're having a completely different conversation with yourself, and I'm not even talking about that. I mean, honestly, I said that those two quarterbacks, that's how you play the position. I have never, ever, at the beginning of this show at all said that the Ravens and the Bengals were fucking better than you. I didn't even talk team. I talked quarterback, and you got butthurt. Suck it up. You remind me of people moaning right now. Hurts can't shine these guys' shoes. But Hurts does need to be better than those two with our offense roster. Yes. Year 2 Monken also helps Lamar's development. Hey, podcast. That's kind of where I was going here. Think about it. Look at what Todd Monken has done. Would we not agree? I'm going to show you this here. Okay? I don't fucking care what you guys. I mean, listen, your guy's not in those guys' leagues. Suck it up and deal with it. Just suck it up and deal with it. Hey, because you don't have a quarterback as good as those guys, that's what it is, dog. Lamar Jackson stats. I'm going to show you something here. I'm going to make a point to you. Here's Lamar Jackson. So Lamar Jackson's passing. And by the way, in 17, I believe, no, 19, he won the MVP award. 3,121 yards with 36 touchdowns and 6 picks. 27 passing yards, 26 touchdowns, 9 picks. His touchdown to interception ratio has always been great. 22-42, he got hurt. He missed some ball games. 17-7, 36. That's a lot for him. That was a year ago where he won the most valuable player award. His second, 24 touchdowns and 7. Look at what Todd Monken has done to Lamar Jackson in the 2 years he's been there. He now has as many touchdown passes and less interceptions with 2. And he's on pace right now for 4,600 passing yards. And his team is 7-3. You're going to try to tell me that Todd Monken is not making an impact in Lamar Jackson's passing game? You're out of your minds. Moore has been here for less than a year. Hurts has the best completion percentage of his career under Moore. Better decision making. He is getting better. He is getting better. But I will tell you once again, last year, Lamar Jackson won the Most Valuable Player Award. You think Hurts is going to go for 24 touchdowns, 7 picks, and win the Most Valuable Player Award? The way that guy's playing, never happened. And by the way, that guy's the engine on that team. They're winning ball games because of him. You're winning ball games because of Barkley and him. Last night, Henry wasn't a factor. Really, nobody in the passing game last night was a factor. It was Lamar. Now, I think that tight end is outstanding that they have. And but look at these numbers here. And by the way, who's tailing Wallace? Here's where the receivers last night that Lamar Jackson was throwing to. Can you tell me if they're in their conversation with Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown? Taylen Wallace, Mark Andrews, okay, Rashad Bateman, Zay Flowers, 4 catches, 34 yards. These guys are dudes. They're dudes. Why do you guys argue with Sills? He will downplay the Eagles no matter what. Not downplaying it. Get this. Did I downplay anything? I said those two guys is what the quarterback position looks like. Downplay? I don't have to downplay. Use your fucking eyes, Anthony. Downplay? What am I downplaying? Facts? What are you talking about? Downplaying what? What am I downplaying? Anthony, I'll ask you, would you really take Jalen Hurts over any one of those guys you watched last night? Would you really do that? Would you take Hurts over any one of those players last night, especially Lamar? Would you do that? I want to hear you because now I'll know what kind of brain cell you have. Would you really do it? That's a great point. Coal mine farms? I didn't ask you that, Ant. Would you take any one of those guys last night over Hurts? Answer the question, and I'll know who you guys, and I'll know your brain cells. Who would take Hurts over any one of those quarterbacks last night? Who? And by the way, do you guys really think that that's a diss on Jalen? Do you think that's a diss on him? Those guys are spectacular. They're spectacular. But you're still winning. You're missing my point again, though. Okay? You're missing my point. In the 2 years that Todd Monken has been with Lamar Jackson is advancing in the passing game faster than Hurts. Last year, Hurts was a train wreck towards the end of the year. Lamar won the Most Valuable Player Award with nobody on the team. This year, they've added components. He's getting better. No. See, I want to show you something. This is why a guy like this has no idea what we even talk about. And we're so far over his fucking head. He has no idea. I'm talking about coaching, dickhead. Not just the quarterback play. I'm talking, and Jalen's been in the league 5 years and starting 4 of them. Dude, this is coaching. Coaching. The only thing that has improved from last year has the fact that they've had him throw less and the turnovers have come down. Last night, Lamar was asked to throw more. You're missing the point. I didn't think this conversation would go well for you guys because you know why? You really don't understand the game because you see the game through the fans' lens and you don't really see what's going on at one place in Baltimore. You just don't see it. You don't see the advancements that Baltimore is making with the education and the developing of the quarterback in Baltimore. Is that because he's had multiple years now with Todd? For sure. This is part of the problem that I say to you all the time that Hurts will always run into in Philly, is that he's never going to have continuity at that position of offensive coordinator. Look at what 2 years has done for him. Look at the advancement of a dual threat quarterback in the passing game, and you're enhancing his passing game because you're putting quality coaching around him and you're keeping that quality coaching around him. But this conversation goes way over your heads. And I get it. And I hate talking down to people. I like talking to them, not at them. And you just don't get it. You're not seeing it. The only thing that has been proved from last year's team to this year's offense has been the fact that had him throw less, he's protected the ball, and your running game's improved again. That's it. Now, look, if you had a coordinator, hey, by the way, just so you guys will feel better about yourself, do I think that if Jalen Hurts, hey, Spike, let me say this to you. Spike, if Jalen Hurts had an offensive coordinator 2 years in a row, would he be showing the same advancements that Lamar? Probably. Probably. We're a delusional and loyal bunch. You're not wrong. Josh, I love you. That's a good, thank you. Burrow and Jackson are better. However, Hurts is better than you give him credit for. He has led his team to the playoffs every year he's has a starter. He's 2-3. But you're right. Joan, thank you very much. By the way, super chats go to the top, and I thank you. Picture this, people say Allen, Lamar, Burrow does nothing in the playoffs because they lose to Mahomes. Meanwhile, Hurts beat the Giants team in San Francisco with no quarterback and lose to that exact guy. I understand what you're saying. John, the point that I'm trying to make here, though, is the only time – hey, let me ask you guys something. The biggest advancement that Jalen Hurts has ever had was under who? Shane Steichen? Do you think there's any coincidence he had him for a year and a half as his coordinator, and that's where you saw his gigantic leap? Can you imagine if you kept a guy in place like Todd Monken for 2 years on where Hurts would be right now? He might be next to what that guy's doing. Instead of having to sit here and watch first four games of the season be a little bumpy because they're getting down with communication and you still have Nick parachuting in with those shitty, stupid-ass calls that contradict a little bit of what Kellen's doing. Can you imagine if you had more continuity at that position of coordinator on what he might look like? Get this, Spike goes, it's week 8. It's week 8, and Lamar Jackson looks like something I've never seen out of a space-age quarterback. I've never seen anything like this. And that guy is going to be a head football coach. Monken is getting a job as a head football coach. More likely to happen, a Lamar Super Bowl or Jalen MVP. That guy plays like that, he'll beat everyone. He'll beat everyone. He'll beat everyone. I mean, again, that's how you played a position of quarterback last night. Once again. Hey, by the way, here, do I have to give you guys reach arounds to make you feel better about yourself? Because it looks like I do. Because some of you are butthurt. So let me give you one reach around. I'll give you one reach around to make you feel better about yourselves. Okay, honeys? All right. That win against Cincinnati does look good. There, you feel better? Huh? And the defense. Okay. You'd have let me get there. I'd have told you that. But you can't because you moan and cry because you're so protective of your guy. Fuck that. Okay, blame the coaching, not Jalen. And no, dude, Jalen is part of the extension of the coaching, as Lamar is. I'm not blaming Jalen for anything. You're missing the point. There's no blame here. It's player development. My God, it's not. I mean, what are you missing here? Xander, I missed the super chat. You guys are, you're missing it. So if Hurts was in Baltimore, are you saying that he would perform better due to the coaching? Hello? Hello? It's not about the talent around him. It's about the coaching around him. Ask Mahomes. This can't be this hard to really connect with you on this. The Eagles, it's not about developing Hurts with putting more talent around him. It's about developing the quarterback like they are in KC and Baltimore because of coaching. My God. You think because you have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, this guy's going to be a superstar quarterback. That's not the case. You need continuity. Look at this. Monken is now 2 years in a row and going to give him 2 MVPs. And you got Kansas City with Andy Reid with Mahomes developing the guy who's been there for 7 years, working on a 3rd straight championship and a 4th Super Bowl. You don't think there's any continuity to that? I knew you'd miss this point. Okay, I knew you would miss this point. Get this. Spike, if this is too much for you, I'm sure there's dickhead shows you can go to follow. Okay? I'm sure there are. Here, Senor. Sills had a point to all this. Yeah. If Jalen would have been getting the better coaching on what we saw and what we're watching with Lamar Jackson, and you had continuity at that position and not your front office fucking him over, he might look like that. There's your point. Okay? Is that easier for you? There you go. Hopefully you can digest that. Hopefully you can digest that. That's what I'm saying. Okay? There you go. I know we have to dumb it down. Like we have to dumb some of the offenses down for people. So we dumb that down to Senor. Okay? Okay? We just dumbed it down for him. Made it simple. You all need to understand Hurts is not on their passing level or development. You all need to understand that Hurts is a really good football player. Absolutely true. Elite football player, but not an elite passer. Manny, thank you. I mean, I guess there are folks in here that get that. Okay? By the way, once again, that's this stupid shit here. Do you actually really need, look at this stupid shit here, this stuff here. Do you really need to look at Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow and Josh Allen and go like this? They've not been to a Super Bowl and go, those two guys are some of the greatest players ever to play. Did you need to say that with Marino? Did you need to say that with Marino? Or with Warren Moon? Or Kelly? You didn't need to say that. I mean, if Jalen would still have Shane, his improvement would be remarkable and definitely more progressive. Yes. Changing coordinators every year will not benefit any player, especially a $50 million quarterback. Brandon, that's as simple as you can say it. And that's all I took away from last night's game was watching how Lamar Jackson's development, because they kept one guy intact. I'm wondering if Hurts would be in the same building, and I think he would. Don't you remember in the beginning of the offseason, he was even saying how much he wished he had one guy talking in his ear the whole time. I'm not debating that stuff because it's on display. Your guy has wobbled, and he's playing better ball the last 4 weeks because he's been asked to do less. That's okay because he's being asked to do more in the run game. Do you find it a coincidence that they're resting him? They're not resting any of those quarterbacks. They might rest Lamar because Lamar has to run because he's dual threat. But he's developing in the passing game. How many passing yards did he actually have? Rushing yards. This is incredible. He had 33. He had 7 carries for 33. That's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot. By the way, Dan, all about ifs? That's not an if. Those are facts. Todd Monken's development of Lamar Jackson is on display. He's making him a better passer every year he's been there. Kellen Moore has yet to do this. And they're micro steps in Philly versus leaps in Baltimore. You missed the point completely. Completely missed the point. Completely missed the point. Almost all of you missed that point. Why don't the Eagles keep Nick off the press so this guy can get something genuine to talk about? I'm not sure what the fuck that meant. Why don't you get a football coach that doesn't dissolve or reveal team injuries? You might want to start there too. What a dickhead that was. His development has been remarkable. Lamar ran only when he had to. Best decision-making of his career thus far. Eagle, I can't believe what I'm watching. Okay? I can't believe what I'm seeing. Spike, you're finished for the day. Sills, the other thing that Monka did to help LJ develop was approach. Yes, Lamar Jackson has long-term project. I thought he was going to be too. He knew it. It wouldn't be overnight. He brought LJ along slowly, and he's built his trust. Boy, I'll tell you what. If you're Baltimore, do you let that guy walk out the building with what that guy has done with that coach? Man, what a tough thing that's going to be for Baltimore. Hey, by the way, you want to fire Nick for that guy and bring that fucker down to Philadelphia? I am all for that. Hey, let me ask you this. Would you take Todd Monken instead of Nick Sirianni right now? Let's take this one here. Let's take it another step. And let's finish the topic here before I get into Cowboy and Eagle Week. If you could fire Nick Sirianni at the end of the year and you're watching what that guy's doing up there with Lamar Jackson, that dual threat guy, would you fire Nick and put that guy in the building for him? Would you? Look at this guy. No. Why wouldn't you, Steve? Why wouldn't you want Todd Monken coaching Jalen Hurts as your play calling head football coach? Why wouldn't you want that? He'd be a play calling head coach, like Chris Long says, has to be the next hire. You're comfortable with Kellen. He's comfortable with Kellen Moore. What has Kellen Moore done to Jalen Hurts made him a better passer like that guy? What's he done that has improved, that has impressed you? He's under center. He's fixed the turnovers. What? Tell me. What has that guy done that has impressed you? That guy, what he's doing with that ball player, and he's making him a generational player. You're telling me Kellen Moore is making Jalen Hurts a generational player? Motion? Do you know what Monken does too? There's no third wide receiver up there. There's only two. They got a fullback. He simplified it for him too, and he's a better passer. Get this. It takes time for Jalen to get better. Well, wait a minute here. This guy's only had what? 27 games? Hurts has had 50 games. And now he's had how many now? 8? That would mean that Jalen this year would have to, 8. That means Jalen would have to be an MVP at the end of the year for him to develop in the passing game. Is that right? Okay. All right, Steve. I got a feeling that guy in Baltimore is going to continue to improve. I got a feeling. Okay? Hey, get this. I love how you downplay their wide receiver room. Well, let's take a look at that. Tyler Wallace, Rashad Bateman, Zay Flowers, Nelson Aguilar. Gee. Oh, he caught a touchdown last night. Interesting. Wasn't that guy in Philly? Johnson had 1 catch for 6 yards. Justin Hill. And by the way, Mark Andrews is a tight end. What are you suggesting? I mean, what are you suggesting? That Baltimore has a great wide receiver room? Seals, to be fair, Moore might get similar results with Hurts in year 2. Okay? The problem is that Moore might not be here. So Hurts will have to start over again. Dude, Jalen Hurts is going to get a coordinator next year because Moore's going to get an opportunity to be a head football coach. Here, I'm not even on we're going to get to the game, I promise. Here are the top 11 candidates for 2025 head coaching positions in the National Football League. And I'll give it to you by ranking, according to coaches and general managers that will be looking for head coaches. Ben Johnson, offensive coach for the Detroit Lions. He's already publicly came out today and say he's going to be very particular in the type of quarterback and organization that he's going to. Cliff Kingsbury, OC, Washington. If you don't think that guy's going to get another opportunity, you're absolutely high on what he's doing with Jaden Daniels. Adam Stavanovich, offensive coordinator, Green Bay. What he's doing up there with Jordan Love and what he's doing with Matt LaFleur. Kellen Moore, number 4, OC, Philadelphia Eagles. What he's doing with Hurts and improving him since the bye. Drew Petzing, OC, Arizona. You notice what's going on with the new offensive coordinator in Arizona with Kyler Murray? Kyler Murray's playing great football. Bobby Slowick, offensive coordinator. Now, he's kind of diminished a little bit because the lack of not having Mixon and also Nico Collins there has kind of exposed a little bit of C.J. Stroud. He's kind of walked back, but he's still a candidate. Mike Vrabel, Bill Belichick, Brian Flores, defensive coordinator, Minnesota Vikings, Todd Monken, Baltimore Ravens, and Joe Barry, OC, Buffalo Bills. Those are going to be your top 11 candidates to probably fill 11 jobs when Black Monday comes, when they make the firings. And obviously, New Orleans and the Jets are already looking for a coach. Lamar was asked last night why the offense looks so smooth and better than last. Lamar answered, was 2 years where Todd helped him. Oh, my God. There it is, folks. Thank you, Ramir. Right there, Lamar Jackson's words. 2 years with Todd. That was my point, senor. That's my point. By the way, this is not opinion. You just use your eyes. Lamar's buying time on pass plays with raw athleticism. He is so spectacular. Not superb pocket awareness. Yep. I'll tell you what he does do, though. He moves in that pocket exceptionally with great grace. I mean, he's got great feet, and you're right. He still has a little bit of the take off and run. There was a clear gap in quarterback mastery last night, Burrow versus Jackson. Oh, yeah. Burrow has that pocket down. When he's humming like that, those guys are just so elite in how they throw the ball. By the way, that has to go with also Zach Taylor, who's been with Burrow the whole time. I mean, Zach Taylor's a really good play caller. I mean, that guy is not going to be without a job. If he gets fired in Cincinnati and they don't make it to the postseason and they wobble towards the finish line and somebody fires him, that guy is a great play caller. Now, he's a pocket play caller. Like, would I put Zach Taylor with Jalen? Absolutely not. What would he know? How could he go from one extreme like that to the other? Okay. Now there you go, senor. I'll buy that. I think Baltimore's defense has issues for sure. And what the Eagle defense did against, that's a completely different conversation. And what the Eagle defense did to Joe Burrow, absolutely true. In Cincinnati. Completely different than what we were talking about, though. But that's fair. And that's why I said that win over Cincy now was elevated by me. That's a good win. It's no longer a shitty win. That's a good win. I mean, it's not because of what and how close that game was last night. It's because of what you did to Burrow. That's a completely different ball conversation than what we're having about the development of the quarterback position. Is our defense elite? Elite means you've done it for periods of time and you've won significant games. So no. Not yet. Hang in there. Okay? Hang in there. The only thing that diminishes that Cincy win was T. Higgins wasn't on the field. Dude, the Cincy win's a good win now because of the way the defense played against Burrow. Okay? They held him in check, and they held Lamar Chase in check. Lamar Chase was insane last night. And if you're Baltimore, you got to look at yourselves on defense and go, okay, Patrick Queen, the losing of the defensive backfield coach, Jannard Wilson, that secondary is clearly not the same. Okay? Clearly not the same. I don't think did Hamilton play last night? Okay. I mean, did the kid Hamilton play last night? Hamilton got hurt. Can't miss him. Okay. Can't miss him. Baltimore's football team, are they as good as a year ago? Offensively, yes. As a unit, I'm not sure. Hey, I'll tell you this. Now, do you want to have a different conversation about that Baltimore team that you're going to be facing in a couple weeks? Are my expectations now closer that the Eagles can beat them? Yeah. Yeah. We were having a conversation on quarterback development, not on what team was better. Missed the point. My point was if Hurts had someone like Monken for 2 years, 3 years, would Jalen be as developed as what we're seeing with Lamar? I think he would be. Instead, you're getting micro steps. That guy's taking leaps up there. That's what we're saying. Okay? Lamar won that game last night with no running game. because the defense took him away. That's Monken's development. Okay? That's Todd Monken's development. No, Steve, Jalen never beat. Quarterbacks don't beat other quarterbacks. You beat teams' defenses. There's no such thing. What do you think? This is a pickup basketball game? You play defense on both sides on offense? It's a rugby game? Last night, Joe Burrow's team came up short versus Lamar Jackson's team. But to sit there and try to say that he outplayed him or, dude, Joe Burrow, if you really want to go for it and talk about pocket presence and throwing the ball, he was better. But Lamar throwing to lesser players and getting it done, making right decisions, no turnovers for a dual threat guy was fucking insane. I mean, Sills, we also didn't have such a good running game versus the Bengals. We beat them by 3. I get it. Let's see here. Somebody with some decent comments, please. A quarterback can outplay another quarterback, though head-to-head in the same game stats. That's so ridiculous. My God almighty. Really? You're playing against Chris, how in the freaking world do you tie that in if so like, wait a minute here. Do you really look at it like this and go like this? Jalen Hurts is going to have a better game than Cooper Rush because why? Jalen's going to have more statistics than him? Or is the fact that Cooper Rush is probably going to have shittier stats because the defense is better than what the Cowboy defense is? How in the world do you tie that in? That's not true. How in the world do you do this? You're playing against quarterbacks play against defenses, don't they? They don't play against offensive players. What are you talking about? How in the world are you tying that in? Okay? I mean, completely insane here. I mean, it's insane. I thought you guys did run the ball good against. I hear you, Dan, but New England, Miami game with Marino and Bledsoe felt head-to-head. I get it, Ronald. I get what you're saying. Look, 2 great quarterbacks are going to be playing against one another's teams. Quarterback always gets the credit. Marino playing against Bledsoe or Marino playing against Elway. You know, I get that. I mean, but you play against defenses. You know that, right, Ronald? The quarterbacks just get all the credit for it. By the way, once again, we'll go back to what we said here. Do you want to feel better about yourself? I think your defense showed me a lot more now. And by the way, here, let me get to this. Tyler, I'll get to you here. I feel better about your defense today watching that game last night against Cincinnati than I did yesterday. I do. I feel better about the development of Vic Fangio, and I'm not buying fool's gold as much with your defense because of last night. Do you not come away with that game last night saying this, you know, Sills, you want to give Burrow credit? No problem. You want to talk about Lamar's development? Great. But tell this to us. You got to feel pretty good about your defense on what they did to Joe Burrow a couple weeks ago. Can't lie. You're right. You're right. First thing out of my mind last night when that game came to an end was that Eagle team on defense might be ahead where people think they are because they shut Chase and that guy down. Now, I give you the Higgins thing. I give you that. But that defense is coming along quicker than I thought. And what did Vic say by week 12? Your football defensive team might be a top 10 team. I'm getting closer to that because of last night's game. Okay? I am. I had two takeaways. Okay? Two takeaways. When we get the edge and better safety play, it's a wrap. Hey, Jarrell, did you not take that away last night from that Bengal game? Hey, we shut that team down. And they pretty much had the same unit out there. Okay? I mean, I want to see it. Washington, short work week. Okay? Right? I did. Let me see where you're at over here. I got you, Jarrell. Hey, I like Jarrell, man. Jarrell's good people, man. Jarrell's good people. 283 coverage snaps and 0 touchdowns allowed through 9 weeks with Q. Devontae, I feel way better about your defense today. There's no question about it. Okay? Sometimes quarterbacks have good games and even good halves. To get a real giddy over Lamar's passing night is fine. His passing night? You mean his passing year? Okay? You mean his year? I wasn't giddy. I'm giddy over the fact. Do you really think that I'm looking at that game between those two guys last night and looking at the players and saying that those guys are great because they played in one football game? I saw Blake Bortles throw for 400 yards once. I never walked away going, Blake Bortles is going to be a legendary player. Where did you get that, Bobby? Joe Burrow's on a historic run this year. He's going to have 44 touchdown passes. And the other kid's on a historic run too. Where did you get that from? Are high-scoring games just trash defensive game plans or elite quarter? It's maybe a bit both. Okay. I think the Eagles were more dominant at the point of attack in that Bengal game, and I thought they ran them off the field. Versus the Bengals, so scores as many as the Ravens. Just our defense keeps us afloat. Your defense is playing really great football right now. That game really gave me a lot of hope that they're where I'm not sure where they were. That game gave me more confidence that they're who they are. Do you not get that? I'm feeling like that's who they are. Sills, where would you slide Gruden in a list of potential head coaching hires? I think the Saints are going to hire him. I don't believe that Lurie would do it, but Gruden and Hurts might be special. It would be, but I think he's going to get that job because Mickey Loomis and the Benson family really like John Gruden. He was a consultant 2 years ago there. By the way, I'll make a point to you. Either Todd Monken and Vic Fangio are going to win the defensive and offensive assistant coaches of the year. I'm trying to think of someone else. Maybe that kid Johnson, what he's doing up there with golf. Monken, Vic. I'm trying to think of another defensive coach that's putting a good defense together. Maybe Brian Flores. The defensive coordinator in Pittsburgh looks pretty good. I'm talking assistants. Be something in there. Sills, does this mean we're going to New Orleans in February? No. Let's see how this thing plays out here. So why the F are you talking about coaching when the organization has its own philosophy? Okay. Well, here, I would say this to you. If you're not Jeffrey Lurie and you're not watching that guy get developed when it has continuity as an OC, you might want to think about helping your quarterback look like that guy in Baltimore. That's my point. Sills, looks like Mitchell so far is working out for us. How's the kid in Detroit doing? You got no help. Dallas with turnovers. Sean, he's doing well. I mean, they're 7-1. Okay? I mean, he's starting. They're 7-1. Let me get you let's get to Dallas. Xander's going to join us at the bottom of the hour. I want to close this comment up. It's not a rip. The point I was making is look at what they're doing with that guy in Baltimore with continuity and coaching. I think, and someone asked earlier, hey, Sills, do you think Hurts would be more developed in Baltimore? Hey, let me finish it up with this. Do you think Jalen Hurts would be more developed with the talent in Philly or the coaching in Baltimore? This is a simple answer, actually, because quarterbacks in the league are showing you it. Would you take the talent in Philly on his development or the coaching in Baltimore with John Harbaugh and Todd Monken? The coaching. That's the right answer. It's not the talent. How many times did you see Jimmy Garoppolo once he left the coaching in San Francisco? It's the coaching. It's the coaching. It's not adding players. It's the coaching. That is the what? Hey, Jarrell, that's the one thing, though, that the Eagles front office refuses to get and understand. Howie thinks he's developing Jalen. He's not. Jalen is getting better because of Jalen Hurts, but they're smaller steps. They're micro steps. If they left the fucking kid alone, he might look like that. There's a part of me inside that thinks he's got better skill set in the arm than what Lamar has. But that's not being accentuated enough because of the shitty coaching. And by the way, I'm not suggesting that Kellen's not a good coach. But Monken has free reign with him. Hey, Jarrell says that Jalen's determined. Hey, you could be determined all you got. If you got a bad general in the building and he's leading you to almost winning your battles, and you got a guy up there making your battles easier, the least amount of resistance, Jarrell, gives me the best formula for success, doesn't it? Right? Sills, in Philly, they believe that organizations beats coaching. And that's why you have all these coordinators. Okay? I got you, Jarrell. Right? Get this. I'm sorry, man. I just don't think Jalen is that dude. No way he has better arm skills. I just think he's really a good football player and could definitely win games in this league. Manny, I don't look at Lamar Jackson and go, that guy is an exceptional pocket passer. I think he's just gotten better coaching and he's getting better at his awareness on getting him. Hey, look, one thing in Baltimore that they're doing too, they fear that run game. Dude, I'll tell you what, Lamar he strikes fear in you along with Henry. They didn't need it last night. They didn't think Lamar Jackson could win that game in the air, and he is now. That's scary. That's why it's exceptional. Alex Hunt will have a big second half of the season. Vic sees something in him. I trust Vic evaluating talent for our defense. Seems to be a good thing, especially at edge and linebacker. Okay? Exactly here. This is a great take. We saw this exact same thing with Wentz. They try and change these guys' skill sets instead of just developing the game for them. Absolutely, Devin. Absolutely true. No getting around it. Get this. Hurts is better than Burrow. He's more mobile. I'm over here at work listening to music and sales. Flexing, thank you, brother. Appreciate that. All right. Let's before we get Xander on here, Cowboys and Eagles. Guys, do me a favor. Hit the like button, please. All super chats go to the top. You guys have been great. I like the debate. Give me some scores. Give me some scores. 30-14. Howie doesn't see it. Teams like Baltimore and Washington got OCs that fit the quarterback. Philly got an OC that doesn't fit. The quarterback doesn't look like those guys, and yet has the same skill set of those guys. I know. Don't tell that to people like Andreas, that Cliff Kingsbury was the right fit at OC for here, and that Monken's the right fit up there, and Kellen's doing the best he can to improve the passing game, which he's barely. Well, the guys are in and out. The guy in Baltimore has barely any players. The guy in Kansas City has no players. The guy in Buffalo has no players. They're all developing. And that's what, here's the last thing I'll say on it. And when you lose players, you become beholden to the roster and not the quarterback's development. It exposes, hey, Bob, let's finish this up here, Bob. Hence, you know why this conversation is important about development of the quarterback? Because you become beholden to the roster, that when players are not in it, your quarterback has developed slower and can't do the things those other guys can do. When those guys miss Andrews or they miss a receiver or what have you, or someone gets traded, there's no drop in the quarterback's play because they've been developed. You're not developing A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. You're supposed to be developing the quarterback. I mean, you're beholden to the roster, not the quarterback's skill. That's why when a player misses or leaves, Jalen doesn't look the same. That's never going to be the same in Baltimore, Buffalo, Kansas City. Why? Because they're developing those guys. I mean, common sense. Common sense. Bob, you got what I'm saying, right? Right? If Nick checks his ego, recklessness, 28-10 Birds. Thank you, Michael. Okay, thank you, Michael. Sills, watching raw ability being shaped into reliable skills is special. And it is with the right coach. Jalen's raw ability can be shaped as well if they allow it. Absolutely. If they allow it. Look at this here, man. So wait a minute here. I'm going to start charging. I'm going to send this. I'm now being requested for shout outs for people in Connecticut. Jim and Debbie. I'm being requested by people for now shout outs. That'll cost you, Colford. Believe me, that'll cost you. Okay? Hey, and I was better than Tony. How you doing? All right. Hit the like button. Absolutely here. Let's see here. Sills, if we continue to play balance, the Eagles win 31-13. Okay? Sills, how about a shout out to Jalen Hurts? Sure. Hey, Jalen, get that ankle better. Hey. How about getting that ankle better? Come on, Jalen, get that ankle better. Okay? Wait a minute. Guy lives off protection and pray guys are out like AJ. We're the only NFL team with top 5 offense and defense. I have no idea what you're talking about, dude. No idea what you're talking about. Okay? Okay, let's see here. First, Sills makes fun on the rest day. No, the ankle. Okay. Yeah, makes fun of the rest day? Because it's not a rest day. He's got an injury. Thanks, Nick. It's not a rest day. I don't believe anything that organization says, and nor should you. Why would you believe it? Oh, no. It's a rest. Yeah, no. I mean, yeah. Hey, a senior believes, oh, it's rest. Because you know why? It's like half the country right now. It's not true. It can't be true. Really? They did it. It's your fault, Sills. It's fake. Because Nick is so genius of a coach that was a ploy by the coach. I mean, he is such a strategist. Hey, how about that Jags game? What a strategist that Nick Sirianni is. Yeah. All those hey, get this. Nick Sirianni is successful at some of those play calls he's had this year as I am at picking games. He and I are in the same boat. I mean, how you doing, Nick? What a strategist. Hey, listen, if I was going to win a national championship or a Super Bowl, Nick is going to be the guy that's going to lay out a game plan. How you doing? Nick gets the dubs that don't matter. Win a Super Bowl, dickhead. Hey, we beat the Jags. We beat the Giants. What about the playoff game against the Buccaneers? That doesn't matter. We beat the Jags. Did you not see that win over the Jags? It was a gut-wrenching win. Holy shit. You want to get great analysis? I heard somebody who used to be on this network go, that was a character win over the Jags? A character win over a shitty Jaguar team. You might want to have a character win over a good football team. That was a character win. I'm like this. Holy shit. Really? A character win. Hurts needs a head coach that calls plays. That's correct. That's why you hire Monken as your head football guy. Okay? Hey, Sills, I know you don't comment on the Raps, but what do you think about the 2 calls? Dude, the refs fucking sucked last night. The officiating in the National Football League, man, is just not very good last night. Chester, honest to God, man, I think these players are getting so fast and so good that just like in the NBA, I don't know, and I don't think they know how to legislate some of these penalties. And by the way, I don't like the way they do it when it comes to the dual threat quarterbacks. Cam Newton took a beating, and they looked at Cam because he was a runner. They never defended him the same way, or Vic, that they defended Manning and Brady. I don't think they know how to legislate penalties. I just don't. Okay? I don't. I mean, even the replay people. Okay, here, let me get, before I get Xander on here. I have never seen a Dallas Cowboy roster just go this south, this fast. They were a team that won 3 years in a row, 12 football games. I can't believe it, how bad they are. Where's the offensive firepower? Where's the Cowboy advantage in this game? Head coaching, I guess. Is Vic Fangio doing more than what the Cowboys? Yeah. Mike Zimmer's a Super Bowl winning defensive-minded coach. He was there with Switzer. But Vic's having a better year with guys I didn't think he could move and move along. The Cowboy defense is brutal. I've never seen it this poor. They can't run the ball. Here's the two things that I don't get with Dallas. They can't run the ball and they can't defend a run. I mean, if you can't do those two things since 1920, you can't win football games in this league. Now, here's the thing. How much is this game going to affect the Washington game? Now, you don't like to look ahead, but what is it? Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And you're traveling on Wednesday. So here's the thing. The Eagles are going to really have 2 days of preparation for Washington. Actually, Washington comes down. They come down, so they don't have to travel. How much will the Cowboy game take out of them? You're hoping nothing. What's your opinion on McCarthy as a whole? I think he's had a great coaching career. Winning record, Super Bowl winner. He's coached Favre and Dak and Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he's got a winning record in the postseason, I think, or it might be 500. I mean, Mike Tomlin's got a record under 500. Did you know that? Do you know that Mike McCarthy has a better postseason record than Mike Tomlin? Did you know that? Mike Tomlin hasn't won a playoff game in a decade. Put that into context. Mike Tomlin has not won. You think Mike Tomlin would still be the head football coach in Philadelphia if he hadn't won a playoff game in 10 years? Mike Tomlin has not won a playoff game in 10 years. Put that out there. I mean, and I love Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin would not be the head coach in Philly if he hadn't won in a decade. Here's my score. 38-10 Eagles. I don't see it. I mean, I think even with the shittiest coaching and Nick Sirianni as a doorstopper, where's Dallas? Cooper Rush, a backup. This has all the earmarks of a trap game. It really does. It's on the road. It's in Arlington. Backup quarterback. I mean, I hate saying 38-10, and I hate doing this. Well, this game here is a walkthrough because I did the same stupid shit of last week, and that was supposed to be that as well. But I just don't see it. I mean, where's the firepower? I know they're getting Micah back. All right. Where did you see those QBs last night? Man, that's how you play the position. That was a display last night. Unbelievable, man. You want to know how to play the quarterback position? You take out, and they're right there, my friends. That's how you play the position. Hit the like button. All that being said, the man who is in charge, like when President Trump had a historic hire for chief of staff, we have our very own Jalen Hurts, chief of staff. He is the co-host of Birds 365, and he is also the host of the pre, halftime, and post-game and post-post. Our friend, Big Z, Xander Krauss.
What's up, Big Sills?
How's that internet today, homie?
I think it's all right, man.
All right.
How do I look? How do I sound? All good?
Yeah, you're good, man. What'd you make of that game last night?
Pretty unbelievable game, man. I didn't catch all of it. I had some shit to do, but I got back and saw a lot of it, man. Those are two talented players, Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson. But I'll tell you what, that Ravens team is good. I don't know if they're Super Bowl good. That defense is shaky. That defense, if I were a Baltimore fan, that defense would give me a little bit of agita. But they're obviously two good players with Lamar and Joe. But Bengals, they can't find a way to win, man.
How about this, man? You know what? I had two takeaways last night. Let me start with the other one, and it was more on the defensive side. I came away thinking that the Bengal win by the Eagles gave me a little bit more of a litmus test on where they are and a metric on where they are right now as a defense. They shut that team down. Baltimore had issues. Now, look, it is an AFC North game. So when you fall in line with those AFC North games, it's a divisional game, and all those games are traditionally about a 2-point spread when you're talking playing common opponent. Still, I thought the Eagles, if you watching that last night, you went like this. Holy shit, man. That guy, Joe Burrow, last night was unbelievable in the pocket, the way, and I had no problem with them going for two at the end. They're the lesser team. They were 4-5. They had to try to get to 500. I didn't mind them doing that shit. I came away, that was one of my takeaways, like, hey, maybe the Eagle defense is starting to look like exactly who they are.
Yeah, maybe they are, and that would be a big thing because they're looking really good right now, and they obviously are going to be needed. I mean, I think the era of just thinking you need a quarterback came and went quickly. You need a great defense in the NFL. I mean, even Patrick Mahomes has a good one now. So if Bird's defense can keep it up, man, I think we're in a good spot. But that Ravens defense is shaky. You agree?
Yes.
Yeah,
Especially when they lost Hamilton.
Yeah.
Especially when they lost
How about this question for you? Because John mentioned this morning, and I'm like, holy shit. I don't know, maybe. If you started the NFL from scratch and you had the number 1 overall pick,
yeah,
who you taking? Lamar or Patrick?
Yeah.
Johnny Mack said Lamar. I'm not. I'm taking Mahomes.
You're taking Mahomes because you didn't ask who the coach is. On pure talent alone.
Well,
boy,
I believe there's a winning. Look, I will not discredit what Andy Reid has been for Patrick Mahomes. I think there is a real intangible that lives inside very few human beings on planet Earth that are true champions. I think Patrick Mahomes has that, similar to how Tom Brady has that. Just like Aaron Rodgers was the better player.
Yeah.
Right? Now we look back in hindsight. Well, I'll take Tom Brady. Well, earlier in their career, many people said Aaron Rodgers, and he was more talented of a quarterback.
Earlier in the career, people thought Manning was.
I think Lamar is more talented than Patrick Mahomes. I'll take Patrick Mahomes all day.
I think that, Todd, and my point that I was making when I opened the program, can you imagine? By the way, all super chats will be read at the end, I promise. My point that I was trying to make, my takeaway was, and I didn't talk about teams, I talked about player development. Look at what that guy Todd Monken has done with Lamar Jackson in the last 2 years of developing him in the passing game.
Yeah.
Xander, it's insane. Last night, he won that game in the pocket, not running the ball. He had 33 rushing attempts. They held Henry to under 70 yards rushing. That guy was such a freak show last night. And like I pointed out, he's on pace right now for 4,600 passing yards, 41 TDs in the air, and only 3 picks and 950 rushing with a 120.
Yeah, but here's my pushback on that.
Okay.
I know they're great. I know they're great. I hear about October Lamar every year.
Dude, I don't need a Super Bowl appearance to tell me what I'm seeing.
No, I know he's a great player. I'm not. Well, I'm more talking about the conversation between him or Mahomes.
Okay.
I know he's a great player. I'm saying, I take him number 2 overall. I don't think that's an insult.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Because once you start getting, it's like the conversation of LeBron and Jordan. Once you're in that conversation, it comes down to what's the deciding metric? Well, winning championships is the deciding metric.
Yeah.
Between the Mahomes right now and Brady, right? That's the metric. When you look at Mahomes, you know how many people want to say this? That's the best talented that's the best talented quarterback I have ever seen. And I'll say that. But then how do you go 3? How do you go 3 versus 7? You can't. You know what I'm saying? You can't go 3 versus 7.
I think he's 1 and 4 versus
and Brady's beaten him in Super Bowls and in an AFC championship.
Yeah, I actually watched the highlight of that Super Bowl the other day. I said, I'm watching, I'm like, boy, in 10, 15, 20 years when the GOAT conversations are happening,
they're going to go
Tom
back
will always Tom will always have that over Mahomes, that he won the Super Bowl pretty handily versus him. But yeah, Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson their head-to-head stats are 4-1. Mahomes is 4-1, and he's 1-0 in the playoffs versus him. Pretty good stats too, by the way. So I mean, look, how are you going to compete with 3 Super Bowls, 6-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro, 2-time AP MVP, 1-time AP Offensive Player of the Year, and 3-time Super Bowl MVP? And the guy's not even close to 30 yet.
Hey, Yale, so under your notion, how many Super Bowls has Lamar won? Okay, he hasn't won any yet. So under your premise then, Yale, you think Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback than Warren Moon? Because he's never been to a Super Bowl. Is that correct? Is that what you're saying?
No, I mean, that's not you're putting words in Yale's mouth.
No. Well, that's the only metric Jalen has over the rest of these.
I know, but I think Yale is saying he'll take Mahomes over Lamar because of Mahomes' winning speaks for itself.
You're right.
I'm not sure, Yale. I don't want to speak for you.
No. I think that's the context.
I think it's the same thing. I don't think he's criticizing Lamar.
No.
I think
that's the context too. But for me, like, I don't need people to tell me what you're watching with Lamar Jackson. Okay? What you're watching with Lamar Jackson, I don't need a Super Bowl appearance to go, is that guy one of the greatest players you've ever seen play the position?
No, there's no doubt he is.
Yes.
Yeah, he is. He's unbelievable. He's a true once-in-a-generation talent. I mean, I don't know when you'll see a guy like
better.
He gets better. Dude, he gets better damn near every week. I mean, you see things from him that you literally don't see a couple weeks ago. And he quiets every narrative now. He just has to quiet the last one and the most important one. You got to stop choking in the playoffs. You got to win the big ones. But look, you're right. It doesn't take away from the talent. There's no doubt about that.
What are your biggest concerns going into the Cowboy game?
That it seems like there is no concerns. That's my biggest concern. Now they're getting Micah Parsons back. I mean, could he be a problem out there with Fred Johnson? Potentially. You're getting Dallas Goedert back. A.J. Brown will play. Devontae Smith will play. Everybody's healthy except for Mailata.
Except for Hurts.
Yeah. What the hell was I texted John waiting for John's down there, so he probably hasn't seen it yet. But
why would
I texted him. I'm like, what the fuck do you make of that?
He told you the truth. They rested him because he's. By the way, do I think that it's like debilitating of an ankle? No, they resting him because he's got short work week. And the truth is that never believe what they're going to talk to you about injuries. But Nick kind of thought that they had put it on the injury list, probably ankle instead of rest. And that's when Bob parachuted in and went, hey, it's rest. They didn't want to put the bullseye on the ankle because now, guess what? If
Just
I'm
a
Mike
weird
Zimmer,
interaction,
how
wasn't
about
it?
this? You know what I'm doing if I'm Mike Zimmer now? I'm blitzing. I want to test and see if that ankle now is a hold up there. But again, I just thought that was a slip up by him behind the mic there because they kind of now put a bullseye on his ankle. Now, which ankle is it? No one knows. How hurt is he?
I mean, I will say he wasn't limping out there or anything today.
No, I don't, Xander, I don't think it's debilitating. I just think they're looking at it and they're resting him because it's a short work week.
It would be too optimistic of me to be like he just slipped up and Jalen's not dealing with an ankle, right?
Yeah. He has an ankle.
Yeah.
How about this? He has ankle soreness.
So yeah, right. He's banged up. It's the NFL. I mean, it's week 10. This isn't breaking news. NFL player that's run 200 carries is banged up. I mean, that's not breaking news. I get it.
And he's running more. I mean,
it was just weird the way Nick handled the whole thing, and then the PR guy, you hear Bob Lang like step in and say it was a weird interaction.
And everyone in the building knew that Jalen Hurts is and again, I don't think, like I said, I don't think anybody's sitting around going like this, hey man, this guy has a serious ankle injury. No, I'm not buying that either. I think because of
I thought the beat reporters kind of let off the hook. That's like that. I don't want to criticize.
You know why they let off the hook? Because Bob stepped on the gas.
I know. I mean, I don't want to, it's easier said than done. Obviously, I'm not in the room. I'm not the man in the arena like those guys. But I mean, Nick just said the starting quarterback is dealing with an ankle injury, and that's why I would have jumped. If I was
John McMullen laughing,
I would have jumped on that thing so hard.
Did you hear John McMullen? I was listening to it, and you hear John McMullen laughing.
Yeah,
John knew immediately right away, and everyone in the building knew immediately what it was.
Yeah,
and that's when old Bob Lang came parachuting in. No. It's rest, and you're like, come on, dog. You don't really go down that route, do you?
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, how would you attack this Cowboy? How would you attack this Cowboy team?
Run, man. Run. And by the way, don't just run with Saquon. I would get those other backs rotated in. The Cowboys defense, Sills. I read the stats out this morning, and I'm going to pull them up for you again because they're worth reading to you. This how bad this defense has been this year, especially on the run defense. They literally cannot stop a nosebleed.
He's already starting his shit, and he's not even in Arlington yet, Nick Sirianni. Eddie, quarterback's got an ankle injury. Yeah. Hey, Mike Zimmer, just so you know, the ankle injury blitzes.
Yeah. So here's some intel for everybody on the Cowboys rush defense, and this is why you got to run on this team. Beside the fact that Micah Parsons back, and the best way to mitigate him is to run right at him.
Man. What
Mozzie Smith is one of the worst draft picks you'll ever see. That guy is of no significance to their defense. Mozzie.
He is.
Cowboys. Wait, listen to these stats, Cells. Rushing yards allowed per game, Dallas is 30th in the NFL, 147.8. Rushing first downs allowed, 9.1, 31st in the NFL. Rushing touchdowns allowed, 13, 31st in the NFL. Rushing yards per attempt allowed, 4.6. It's 23rd in the NFL. And opponent rushing attempts per game, 31.9, 31st in the NFL. Now you're talking about an Eagles offense that has been bullying teams for the better part of 4 weeks. You got Saquon, you have Gainwell and Shipley, who I believe are more viable than many are given credit for. You have Jalen Hurts, and you got a top 5 offensive line. I mean, they don't have Dak Prescott. They don't have guys in the secondary. CeeDee Lamb may or may not play. Take the fucking ball and run over them with it. And by the way, this is a divisional game, so don't try and get cute. Don't try and get pretty. This is NFC East football.
And it's a short week for Thursday.
And wait, they're about to be knocked. They're about to be on. Their season is on life support. Don't let them resuscitate. Blow them off the ball. Destroy them in the running game and knock them out. They'll be done for the year if you do that today.
I think they quit. I think they quit when they put Dak on IR.
Yeah, that was bold. Yeah, my email says it's a rivalry game we could lose. That's why I'm saying run over them, dude.
Yeah,
run over them. Don't let them into the game.
Yep.
You got to knock them out.
No,
the guys in the 12th round wobbling. Fucking knock them to the canvas.
No, take them out early.
Exactly.
Don't give them any hope. No hope at all.
So I hope they run. Now, will they? I don't know, because that Cowboys secondary is kind of suspect as well. Maybe Jalen will have a little bit of a day in the air, and maybe they'll try and go to that early to put the game out of reach so you can I think there's. I
This
honestly,
game
I know
worked.
you got to take one game at a time, but I
Yes,
think they're thinking about that Commander game on Thursday night.
I'm concerned about this game.
The Cowboy
And
game. I know you.
yeah,
I can kind
I
of
am.
tell, but
I am. But by
your
the way,
score prediction didn't really.
I know I got 38-10, and
I
I
got
hate
31-10.
you got 31-10.
Yeah,
I got 38-10, and I'm like, damn, I was wrong last week. I thought that thing would be a blowout.
that's
Now,
fair.
I mean, and it's a back. Everything right now leads me to believe, where's the advantage? Is the advantage the unknown?
The advantage is last week you had a shitty team that was reeling, but they also had their starting quarterback still in. Now, I'm not saying Trevor Lawrence is a great player, but you always have
He's not having a bad
you have a
year.
better chance, right? Like,
Yep.
and this goes back to our argument yesterday why I said Jalen Hurts was the most important guy. I mean, you're looking at the Cowboys without Dak. I mean, dude, how are they going to score points? Seriously, they're the worst running team in the NFL. What better way to help a backup quarterback than to have a good running game, right? That's the easiest way to get a backup quarterback playing well is have a good running game. They don't have that. They can't stop the run. I mean, those are the two most fundamental parts of football. Run the ball and stop the run. They are bottom of the league in both categories. Now they have a backup quarterback. I don't see how they score points in this game.
How about this? I mean, I felt better about the Jags going into the game against the Eagles than I do this one. And that game was a 4-point last possession opportunity for Jacksonville.
Right.
I mean, this one here, the Cowboys look like the worst team that they've played all year, and that includes the Giants.
Dude, it's crazy to say this. You might be high on your 5-win prediction. They have 3 right now. I mean, who are they going to beat? Maybe I don't know. They're bad, though. I mean, 5 might be right on the money with them.
I kept
don't
telling
fear
Mark
them.
Holmes, I go, they'll win 5 games at tops this year.
That's what you asked me. I mean, what am I most feared about? I'm most fearful that I got nothing to fear. I mean, I'm looking at this team. I'm like, boy, I'm not even – I guess Micah. I mean, Mike is coming back. He's a good player. He can get after Jalen Hurts. So if Jalen gets into it where he's holding the ball too long and they don't stick to the fundamentals, Micah could have, have an impact on the game. I just asked how they're going to score points. Well, take a strip sack and start at the 20-yard line. Yeah, you'll get some points on the board or whatever. So, don't turn the ball over, protect that thing, and run the ball so you take Mike out of the game. I think it's a simple recipe this week.
How concerned are you about Nick this weekend?
Concerned. I'm not concerned. Look, I mean, I get upset with Nick, and he's not my favorite coach. I mean, shit, I wouldn't pick him to run my organization. He wouldn't be the head coach of my club. Not my club. But if I were an owner, I wouldn't hire him. But look, the dude wins a lot of games. I think the team plays for him. Do I hope he cleans it up? Yes. But I also want to make you aware, and you know this, a lot of the decisions that many of us criticize Nick for are not Nick decisions. Now, they might be, but they are backed and supported and emphasized and encouraged by the front office. So much so that if he went against it, he gets in trouble. And John has actually pointed to that. Sometimes he goes rogue and they don't like it. So I can sit here and say, why the fuck are you going for 2 every time? Why are you leaving 9 points on the board? Whether it's Nick Sirianni or the next guy, it don't matter. That's what they're going to do. So how am I supposed to beat Nick up for that? You know what I mean? I get it. He's the easy one, the lightning rod I can yell about, but look, it's an organizational thing. That's what they
last week was a lot of fuel to do that too.
It was, but at the end of the day, Nick is still the lightning rod. Look, it defies common sense for any NFL coach, for any coach, any person that has any understanding of the game of football to do what they did last week, where you have several chances to increase the possessions needed for the Jags to get back into the game, and you take the harder play and it fails and you set yourself behind, and then you let the Jags get back into the game. All common sense would point that that's not the right thing to do, except if you approach it from a strictly analytical model and remove entirely any circumstance or any scenario that's happening in the game. The score, the team, the opponent, the moment, the situation, where you are on the field, all those things. None of those things are factored in. It's if they take a penalty, we go. And if we're within 4th and 3 or whatever it is, we go. They don't think about it. So is that Nick or is that the organization? I think it's the organization a lot more so. And that's what John's entire point is, by the way. That's why John fights with us. It's not because John believes so passionately about going for it every time. It's because he's telling us the organization is doing this whether we like it or not. So cry about Nick all we want. It's going to happen no matter what.
I've known this since I got here.
Yeah, no, you have. But like, it's easy in the moment, like you said, to criticize Nick. And you're like, yo, what the fuck, Nick? But at the end of the day, whether it's Nick, Kellen, Vic, or the next guy, they're not going to change that.
Xander, who do you think has more autonomy and more say in the organization right now, Sirianni or Jalen?
I think probably Jalen, honestly. I don't know that for sure, but I think
probably. Who do you think that they would take the word of more right now, the head coach or the player?
I mean, I don't view it like that entirely. Like, I don't view it as take one or the other. I view it as everybody probably has a good say in what's going on. Now,
I think it hurts.
You do?
The reason I think it's Hurts is because of the way that they've treated coaches in the past here.
Well, that might
and the way that they look at coaches,
they're also responsible for fucking up a lot of quarterbacks.
Yeah, but that's again organizationally, like you said, and they're not. Jeffrey Lurie loves this dude. He is a.
Yeah, you're right about this.
Jalen Hurts is Jeffrey Lurie's guy. That's what he wants that franchise to look like. That's who he likes representing his franchise. That's the guy who is holding the strings right now. That's why that bye week. Did you hear Nick talking about it today when he said the bye week, I spent a lot of time with Jalen. The two of those guys spent a lot of time, and in my opinion, I think that came a lot to do with the owner putting those two guys in the room. And if there were any kind of differences, both those guys need one another to move forward. If they're going to have a successful season, they can't be on different planets. And all of a sudden, after Jalen talked with Nick, what happened right after that? All of a sudden, Lane goes to him and says, and the leadership group came to him after Jalen had talked to him. They all went to him and said, hey, look, we want this. We think we're going to be more effective doing this. I think that's Jalen Hurts since Jason Kelsey's not been in the room. I think Jalen Hurts is taking more of a leadership responsibility with the group and the direction of the team, because a year ago, I think coaching handled the direction of the team and it went into the toilet. I think the players in that bye, I think they grabbed more of a say in that room and said, we believe we're better doing this. Jalen talked about sacrificing numbers. I do, and I some guys, I don't believe a wide receiver to save his life when he says, hey, I'm here to win, except for one, the guy you have on your team at Devontae Smith. That's the only guy I don't think gives a shit about numbers, and he only cares about winning. Every other diva does. They want to get their targets, their catches, and their wins in that order. I think Hurts looks at it like this. The best interest for me is to look like 22, and he's trending exactly on the same numbers line as 22. I said it 2 years ago. That's who that kid is. He's not a 4,500-yard passer. That's okay, long as he's trending that way. But I think that had a lot to do with Jalen going to Nick and saying, hey, we have to do it this way. And the coaches went like this. They feel comfortable doing it. Like he said today, we're going to go down that route.
Well, is the power struggle between the players and the coaches, or is it between the players?
Think it was last year.
No, but,
because where was his leadership a year
ago? The players are obviously asking the coaches, but is Nick doing things that the organization is directing, and Nick is kind of the guy in the middle who's trying to serve two masters of what the front office wants versus what the players want? Like I said, I don't believe Nick is operating from a strictly Nick Sirianni agenda.
Absolutely not. Never.
I don't even think we'll ever know what that looks like, honestly.
Yeah, you will. Doug Peterson.
Well, I mean, with Nick, but yeah, no.
Chip, Doug, those guys, that's what it looked like in Philly. But since Nick's been in the building, that's what it looks like. And it looks, would you say that the way he runs the team is completely different than the way Chip and Doug ran the team?
Well, definitely. I mean, it's definitely a little different.
There it is.
I mean, they tried to do this with Doug, honestly, toward the end, and that's why Doug left. But I'm not, Doug didn't.
No. But I'm saying that's how you see the difference in the two styles of coaching when it comes to front office. So I think Jeffrey Lurie, again, I think he had something maybe to do with the bye here, telling those guys to get in the room, because I can't see Nick Sirianni just going, okay, we're going to run the ball without having that front office. You really think they went like this? Hey, guess what? I'm going to buck the system. The two receivers we have, we're going to have lesser targets in the games, and we're going to run the ball more in games, and we're going to put the game in the hands of Barkley and Hurts running the ball without okaying that with the front office? Absolutely no way. That all, like you said, there is a connection to the front office that will always have the final say, and they signed off on it saying, okay. By the way, make sure we get at the top of the hour the injury list, too, on what it's going to look like a little bit here.
I think I got it.
You got it already?
Yeah, I just got it 6 minutes ago. Everybody full participant. The only guy who's questionable is Ben Van Sumeren. So Saquon full participant, AJ full, Dallas full, Bryce Huff full, Jalen Hurts full participant, Mekhi Becton full participant, Cam Jurgens full, everybody full. Devontae, Nolan, Sweat, Trotter.
But Hurts showed up on the injury list, huh?
Rest. It still says rest for him.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yep. Still says rest for him. The only guy with an ankle is that what they said? Jalen was an ankle? The only guy with an ankle is Anais Smith and Mekhi Becton.
What about AJ?
AJ says he was full participant with the knee.
With a knee. How about Devontae?
Devontae, full participant with the hamstring.
Hamstring. Something to keep an eye on going into this football game.
Yeah, so everybody's good tomorrow besides Mailata, who's on IR.
The defense going after Cooper Rush. How do you handle this? Do you sit back or are you aggressive?
I'm aggressive. I'm trying to get after them. I mean, remember, they don't have a great running game.
No run game.
They have no run game. So, rushing yards per game, they're 31st in the league. Rushing touchdowns per game, they're 31st in the league. Yards per rush, they're 30th in the league. Rushing attempts per game, they're 32nd in the league. They can't run the ball. Like I said, they can't run the ball and they can't stop the run. These are the two most fundamental parts of football. Literally the two most fundamental parts of football. If you can't do those things, you can't do anything. And they can't do either of them. And now they have a backup quarterback. I mean, what are they going to do?
Here's my problem with this game. You're almost like, what to talk about? It's because they're like you sound like Harry Mays. You're sitting here going like this. I mean, that's what Harry.
Who?
Yeah, like who? There you go. That's good. Okay.
Who?
Harry Mays.
Who?
Yeah. Okay. You're learning. Good. I'll be like, what do we talk about? I mean,
dude, no, rush these guys. You got Tyler Guyton at left guard, Tyler Smith, Cooper Beebe, Zach Martin, and Terrence Steele. Now Zach Martin hasn't practiced all week. Steele was absolutely terrible last year in 2023. Already gave up 6 sacks this season. Cooper Beebe's a rookie. Jalen Carter should have his way with him. Tyler Guyton, another rookie, already committed 12 penalties this season. And Zach Martin hasn't practiced yet this week. Now, I'd have to check on their injury report today, but, I mean, I think the defensive line can get home.
Is Zach Martin playing or not?
I don't know. Let me go check the Cowboys Twitter and see if they put out anything.
Give me the list on the Cowboys here. This thing's probably going to look like a laundry list. It probably looks like a laundry list here because they got a ton of guys.
Yeah, no injury report up for them yet. I mean, I know Mike is going to be back, and it looks like CD will play. So
okay,
but
so Micah and CD are going to play. Got to find out if Zach Martin plays because I thought he was injured.
Yeah, he didn't. I want to say he didn't practice yesterday.
Boy, the Cowboys are if they win this game.
No, they're not going to win this game, dude. They're not. I'm sorry, they're not. There's no way they're going to win this game.
You know what this game reminds me of a little bit? It reminds me of that Cleveland game for the Ravens.
Yeah, so they didn't update their injury report yesterday, but Deron Bland didn't practice yesterday.
He's having a brutal year.
Trayvon Diggs was limited yesterday. Tyler Guyton was limited. Eric Kendricks, their linebacker, limited. CeeDee Lamb was limited. Zach Martin did not practice as of Wednesday and Thursday. Still waiting on the Friday report. Micah was limited, but he'll probably play. And then obviously Dak is out.
That fucking Mark Holmes was telling me that Tyler Guyton was good, and I told him he's a turnstile.
He is a turnstile.
I go, that guy is a bum. I
I think he's
mean,
already given up 6 sacks this year, if I'm
dude,
not mistaken.
seriously, Andre Dillard's better.
No, that was a steal.
Hey,
Guyton's been bad, though. Guyton hasn't been good.
he's just been terrible.
I
And
actually
he's
didn't like that pick. I didn't like that pick when they made
Dude,
it.
the last 2 years, look at the picks that they've bombed on. They
Mozzie.
bombed on Smith and they've bombed on this Tyler Guyton kid.
Dude, Mozzie Smith is bad. It's not even just like an Eagle fan funny talking point. Mozzie Smith is objectively a horrible nose tackle right now in Dallas. He can't do shit.
He is absolutely terrible. Let's do this. You tell me now, in your opinion, Vic or Kellen, who has the tougher task this Sunday against the Cowboys? You don't see anything here.
I mean, what do you want me to say? That Vic Fangio has a tough job going up against Cooper Rush?
Yeah, because it's more unknown.
Dude, I would shadow CD Lamb with Cooper DeJean or somebody like that. Follow him all over the field. Double him up with all the other corners sitting in zone like they're always going to anyway. Completely take him out of the game. And Cooper Rush will get sacked 8 times. He's got who's he going to throw to? CD Lamb's the only dude out there. Now, last year when CD Lamb was the only guy that could beat us, he somehow had 11 catches for 190 yards and a touchdown. So let's not let that happen this year.
Do you think this team could be overlooking this Cowboy game for that Washington game Thursday night?
No. I mean, look, you got to handle this game first, but I do think
that tight end Ferguson is good.
Yeah, I mean, he's good. But
you're going to be shocked if they're. How about this? Are you going to be shocked if they're in the game halftime?
No, I mean, look, I'm not going to say they're going to be gone from in the game in the first quarter. I mean, look, handle your business. I'm not trying to overlook the opponent, but specifically to your question, I don't know. Who is a tougher test, Kellen or Vic? Who do you think?
Vic. Because
yeah.
Vic doesn't know what he's looking at. I mean, you got a backup quarterback. You got no run game. I mean, and you got young players.
Okay,
see,
so
here's my issue with the
no
Eagles.
Running game and a backup.
And you have all inexperienced guys at numerous positions on defense who don't know how to play not up and down to potential. Remember the difference in 22 and right now what you had? You have massive experience on that 22 team. You don't have that here. This is Quinyon Mitchell's 9th NFL football game. You know, are you going to let those kids walk in and have your attitude? Hey, guys, guess what? I don't see where they're going to beat us at all in any place. You got to make sure you tell those players, hey, don't take anybody for granted, man. Everybody gets paid in this league. You walk into that game, man, it'll look like the Jaguar game. You'll be close. Or you allow a team back in.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm with you, man. I don't see it. I really don't see it.
Remember, Cooper Rush, everybody talks about him being 4-1 or whatever in 2022. I mean, he averaged like 180 or 190 passing yards in that 4-1 span. And the Cowboys also had, I think, a top 5 defense in 22 or a top 10 defense in 22. They don't have that anymore.
Nothing.
They have nothing. So this is not the same team. It's not the same setup. Nothing about this is the same. Cooper Rush is basically set out there to pasture this weekend. Well, look, doesn't mean Eagles have to handle their business. I'm not saying that. I'm not trying to downplay the talent, but the objective analysis on the game is, I mean, look, we had Todd Archer on last night on the night show on This Week in Pro Football. You know what he said about the Cowboys? He's the ESPN guy that covers the Cowboys. He's been doing it since 2003, over 20 years covering the Cowboys. He's like the Tim McManus of the Cowboys. He said, you know what the best part about this Cowboys team is right now through 9 weeks?
Nothing.
Their kicker. Wow. So he says, great as our kicker is, when you have to say your kicker is the best part of your team, you're a bad football team. You're a really bad football team.
In 30 years that Jerry Jones has been the general manager of that team, he has been the worst general manager in pro football. There's not a man on the planet who would keep his job with a losing postseason record the way Jerry Jones has as a general manager of that football team. Jimmy Johnson left that thing in 94. Barry Switzer came on here. They won a Super Bowl, I believe, in 96. That was the last one. But remember what Barry said? My number one job was make sure I don't F it up. And that was my top job, was not F it up. Barry leaves a couple years later. And, dude, do you realize since like 1997, Jerry Jones has a losing record in the postseason. They've overvalued their players. And I can't think of a worse general manager for that length of time that has kept his job. And the only reason he has, Al Davis was a great football mind guy. That guy was the architect of many great football teams, and they were in the era of the Steelers and Dolphins, and they were winning Super Bowls. I got to tell you, man, Jones has just absolutely – I can't believe what it looks like right now to me. You know how the beginning and end sometimes looks the same when you start something? It's shitty at the beginning, and it's always shitty at the end. That's kind of what it looks like here for Jerry, is that it was 1-15 at the end. Huss, if they're 3-14 at the end of this here, I wouldn't be stunned. I mean, it just looks like when I was in Dallas, when they had no talent on the team and they were 1-15. Right. It just, dude, injuries should not derail your entire season like this. Hey, by the way, you remember a couple years ago, Cooper Rush came in. Dak was out for a couple weeks.
Yeah, I just mentioned it.
They still went 12-4.
Well, he was 4-1 in that stretch.
Right. I mean, my point was, they had so much talent on that team.
Right. By the way, they were the 7th ranked defense that year, ahead of the Eagles, who were 8th.
That guy is not going to be the problem on Sunday. It's going to be the roster on Sunday. I can't believe the Dallas Cowboys have fallen off, and I'm going to tell you why. They don't spread the wealth around with the salary cap. They buy it on superstar players, on TV stars. Look at what you have right now. How many places do you know, Xander, where you have the highest paid guy at every fucking position in the league, and you've got 3 wins? The quarterback's the highest paid player. The receiver's the highest paid player. And now soon you're going to have a defensive player, and you can't get out of your own way. I mean, at least the Eagles, I mean, the way they pay their players, they spread the money out by doing this. They give the bag of money up front, and those cap hits don't destroy them. And it's just poor management. The Cowboys are in a position right now. It's just poor management. And how about this one? Do you think they're going to be in this position? How much longer? 3 years? 4 years? 5 years? How many years is this going to be? I don't think this is a 1 year. I heard John say this the other day. You know, the Cowboys have good players. I'm like, yeah, but they got good players, but do they have exceptional players? Is there one player on their team where you go, that guy's the best guy in the league? You could debate AJ.
John said that again about Micah today. He's generational.
Where? How?
I brought up the Tony Casillas comments too, and John didn't like them.
Yeah, because it counteracts what he thinks.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, well, that doesn't mean it's not fact. You got a guy with a Super Bowl ring that played with Charles Haley.
I agreed.
Okay? He was next to Charles Haley, who's got 5 rings. And that guy showed up.
You know, we talk about this Cowboys team. By the way, they sucked when Dak was in, everybody. I mean, they did lose they're 0-3 at home this year. They lost to the Lions at home less than a month ago, 47-9. You know, and their approach in that game, the Lions, is exactly what I would do. They ran the ball 36 times. They spread the ball around to 3 different running backs, really 4 or 3 different running backs and some jet sweeps in there. Jared Goff was 18-25. You know, we kept the passes limited, and they blew him off the page. You know, I think that's a perfect little formula for the Eagles to go in there and have a easy cruise to the finish after the third quarter.
I see y'all say that Micah Parsons has accomplished. What's he accomplished? I'm trying to figure it out here. Let me take a look at this. Okay. I mean, now look at this. Look at these numbers.
Clary 13 Boy, sacks. I would agree with you, Clary Boy.
13 sacks first year, 13.5, 14, and he's got 1 this year. And he's played in only 4 games. Obviously, he's missed 4 games.
1 sack in 4 games he has?
Yeah. He's got 1 sack this year. And this is what he has. AP1, which is first team All-Pro.
Yep.
the defensive rookie of the year, his rookie season. I look at those stats and I go like this. Okay, well, Yale. I mean, there's no question that this guy here. I mean, when you're looking at where he is in sacks, but do you remember this guy in big games, making big plays that matter for the Cowboys, like in the postseason? How about this? If you had to take Reddick, if you had to put Reddick, who would you take in a postseason, Reddick or Parsons?
Yale said he hasn't accomplished anything, by the way, but
Okay.
I'll take Reddick. I'm not a like I respect Micah because I think he's
Hey,
good.
Yale got it, brother.
I'm not saying he's not good, but I think the generational comments from people are just ridiculous because he had a good rookie year. Like, I don't really give a shit that he had a good rookie year. I want the guy that produces, and I also I know that people have a problem when you turn it into this, and I'm okay with that. Not everybody's the same, but I don't like the kind of guy that you get off the field with him. And it's not about his personality or anything. I would rather have somebody that's more focused on football and is ready to kind of dive into that later on in their career. But he kind of went into that right away. It's not the type of dude I would want. And I know that's an opinion. That's just a preference. I know people have an issue with that when you say something like that. Oh, that's just my preference. I would rather have a guy that didn't do that shit. And Micah, I don't know. I mean, look, I think he's good. I think you got to respect him. Don't let him destroy the game, but run right at him and he can't stop you.
Well, here, I want to show you a little bit here, Xander, what generational is. 10 sacks, 8.5 sacks, 11.5, 13.5, 20.5, 12.5, 16.5, 17.5, 11.5, 9.5, 11.5, 10.5. First team all pro 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The National Football League's most valuable player, 3-time defensive player of the year. That's fucking generational, and that's Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah. They're not in the same sentence.
That's Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah, how can you be generational when there's 3 guys at the edge I'd take in front of you in the league right now?
Right.
I mean, you're talking about all-time guys. Forget the all-time guy. I would take TJ Watt. I'd take Myles Garrett.
Crosby
could be a push. I think there's different uses for each of them, but I think Crosby's probably the overall better edge.
Here, let's do this right now. When you're talking Parsons,
I mean, who else? Give me some other people in the chat. Like, I take Nick Bosa. I take Nick Bosa.
Oh, absolutely.
So okay. Bosa, Watt, Garrett, Josh Allen's close, Martin. That's not a bad one. I don't know if he's
here's the guys right now.
Josh Allen at 17.5 last year. That's a good one.
Bosa, Watt, Crosby. Shit, I'd take Aiden Hutchinson over his ass.
Fuck yeah, Aiden Hutchinson's been balling
Josh
out. Josh
Allen. Shit, man. Trey Hendrickson's underrated, man. That guy's got 9 sacks right now.
Yeah, but I'm not taking him over Micah. Like, he's good, but I'm not taking him over Micah.
Yeah, I'm not taking the rest of these guys. How about this? Would you take Reddick over him? How about this one? Would you take Brian Burns over him?
No.
Okay.
No.
So here's the guys that you would take over him then. And that to your point about being generational, okay? You take Garrett over him.
Definitely Garrett.
You take Bosa over him.
Definitely Bosa.
You take Watt over him.
Definitely Watt. Those are the 3 definites.
You take Crosby over him.
Probably I'd lean Crosby because he's more my style of a player, but I could understand if someone went with Reddick there.
Aiden Hutchinson.
Or Parsons.
Aiden Hutchinson.
Hutchinson, I think that's close, man. I think Hutchinson probably has taken that lead.
Josh Allen?
I mean, I said no, my first instinct, but I looked, Josh Allen at 17.5 sacks last year. And he's already up to 5 this year.
The only reason I wouldn't take Khalil Mack over him is because he's 32.
Well, yeah. Khalil Mack in his heyday was pretty damn good, but I don't think he was close to generational.
Arguably, you could take around 4, potentially 5 guys over him. How's that freaking generational?
I don't know. No, that's not a question for me, to be honest with you. I don't think he's generational. I think he's a good player. I'm not trying to disrespect him at all.
No, but you know what my problem is with him is that what Tony said, he goes like this. Well, he doesn't want to play the run. And he's told the guys that. He goes like this, I don't want to play the run. I just want to get TFLs and sacks. He doesn't want to do the dirty work that it takes to go out there and do everything else. I mean, I think that's a problem, dude. All right, Xander, super chats. Let's do the super chats because we got Jason Cole at the bottom of the hour. We'll go around the league with Jason.
That's a fair take. I mean, is Micah also a product of a shitty D-line? What would Micah look like next to Carter? I mean, they haven't been shitty for long, though, Claryvoy. I mean, if you want to give them that excuse for one sack this year, maybe.
Games in the last
but
3
dude,
years.
They have DeMarcus Lawrence. Like, they've had dudes on that D-line for a while, man. I mean, I agree this year, but I'm not going to use that as an overriding excuse. I think we only have one super chat right now. Okay. Tough question. I don't think we've seen Lamar at his peak yet.
That's scary.
He's talking about that question of Mahomes or Lamar.
Yeah. But you got to go with Mahomes.
I'm not sure you've seen Mahomes at his peak yet either, dude.
Yeah, he's 29.
Brady played his best football in his 30s, late 30s.
Late 30s. There were two different. Do you know Tom Brady threw more touchdown passes from the age of 35 to 45 than he did from the time of 20 to 35? Did you know that he threw more TD passes later in his career than he did earlier in his career?
Yeah. And that's what Mahomes is going to get better at. See, that's my fear with Lamar, is that when he's 35, now this is long-term thinking, but when Lamar's 35, how good's he going to be? If you take away some of those rushing abilities versus if you take away Mahomes' legs, it'll take a dimension out. But that dude can, once he learns more, and when he's 35, I mean, that's why Brady could throw more, because he understood defense even better.
And what will Lamar look like?
Destroy you from the pocket.
And what will Lamar look like if he gets a couple more knee injuries too? Well, how will that affect?
Can he destroy you from the pocket? I don't know.
Yeah, how will that make him look? All right, Xander. Dude, it's going to be interesting, man, to say the least here this weekend, because I'm with you. I don't see an advantage anywhere in this Cowboy game. I don't.
You have 38, 37, 10, 38, 10.
I have 38, 10. I don't even see where the Cowboys get 10 points in this game.
Dude, you got them really beating up on them.
Oh, yeah. I think they're going to run them over. I mean, and I don't get this. If I threw the ball 12 times in this game, I wouldn't care, because you know what I'm looking to do? I want to get out of Dodge, and I want to get to that Washington game, because that Washington game, those two Washington games, in my opinion, are going to determine the NFC East. Okay? And, hey, let's not forget something else. Pittsburgh and Washington, okay, what team is going to have
Brian
more
Robinson's
trouble?
Out in that game.
Hey, what's that?
Brian Robinson's out for that game.
Okay. What team is going to have to play their guys a full 60?
Washington.
You're playing Pittsburgh. I think Washington's going to have to go the distance with that, whereas I think you can be on cruise control with this Dallas team if you put them to sleep early and put them in that chokehold.
Where I think we're going to differ with them is, I think the Eagles' approach to getting up early is going to be passing the ball, when for me it'd be just run it right over them. But that's not going to be. They're going to try and throw the ball a bunch early to try and get the lead and then coast to the finish.
You got it. Xander, I appreciate it, brother. We will see you Sunday, my friend, when it comes to the pre-post halftime show and also the post-post. I'll see you then, brother. Thanks a lot, man.
Yep. See you, Sills. Thank you, everybody, for all the support on JAKIB. Another great week of content. We appreciate each and every one of you. So thanks, everybody. Sills, great show, man. I'll catch you on
bet,
Sunday.
brother. Do me a favor, guys. Please hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
He's blocked well and tries to cut through the middle. Oh!
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on Sports Grid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
Score and save in southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com.
I get scared sometimes.
Of a lot of things.
Joining in.
Decisions.
The dark.
The dark.
But I once heard someone say,
But as I always say,
it's okay to be afraid.
as long as you face the fear.
And keep moving forward.
Wherever you are in life, count on the name trusted in insurance for over 80 years. Independence Blue Cross.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer 3 major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Heading down the shore, have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood day.
Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
EAGLES. Eagles.
Big Sales National Football Show. Do me a favor. Please hit the like button. You guys are going to be floored when I tell you this. So, I couldn't believe what I was watching last night. And by the way, I got a great DM on my X account from this lady. Susie Willis, the new White House Chief of Staff. I know her very well. And I didn't know I knew her until last night when someone pointed it out to me. Yale. I had no idea. Yale, how do you think I know her? My aunt's hearing this for the first time. No, not politics again, actually. There's nothing to do with Lucius, shut the fuck up and listen. She went to the U. No. She's Pat Summerall's daughter. Pat Summerall played with Andy Robustelli. I knew Pat Summerall exceptionally well because of Andy. Pat lived in Pound Ridge in Stanford, and she was raised there. And we would go over to the house, and we would go over, and I had no idea that the lady who was just named White House Chief of Staff is Pat Summerall's daughter. I can't tell you how many times I've seen this lady, and I had no idea who she. Then again, I knew she was in the house and all, but I had no idea who she was. Somebody goes like this, hey, Sileo, that's Summerall's daughter. And I'm like, what? Okay. Pat Summerall, dude, had a home in Pound Ridge. If I said she grew up in the Pound Ridge, Pat had a home there. Okay? Pat had a home in Pound Ridge. Okay? That's Summerall's daughter. Incredible. I can't tell how many times I ran into Pat. Dude, Pat was out. Absolutely. Hey, Maniac. Pat Summerall, absolutely great guy. Absolutely spectacular guy. One of the absolute best people. Him and Gifford were dear friends of Robustelli's because they played together with those Giant teams. And when I got into broadcasting, that's how I met Roone Arledge, was through Summerall and Frank Gifford. And he goes like this, go down and meet these guys. And I went and met them. That's one of the ways that I got into sports broadcasting. You guys have seen Sean McManus on his program 5 or 6 times. He was the chairman and president of CBS Sports. He's from Darien. And all that whole crew helped me get into broadcasting. It's kind of crazy. I mean, Sill's friends with everyone. Likeable dude until you don't align with his takes. Yeah, that's what we do here, Clairvoy. Oh, okay, I got it. He stands tall in his beliefs. Hey, Clairvoy, one thing I never do to you, though, or anyone else. Okay, I don't shut you down here. Jason Cole will join us at the bottom of the hour. We'll get a overall view. Irv Krauss and Pat Summerall did games for a long time, former Eagle. Irv was on that CBS Inside, or the NFL on CBS show. He was there with Brent Musburger and those guys. I love Irv Krauss. Irv was a really great dude as well. I think Irv used to do WIP stuff, didn't he? Back in the day, Irv Krauss used to do that. Summerall, and hey, Yale, who's the guy that owned WIP, that Brookshire, Tom Brookshire. Tom Brookshire and Irv Krauss, those guys started WIP. Those were some, and then they brought in Angelo and those guys. But Tom Brookshire owned WIP. And he's the guy that sold it eventually to CBS. And like I told you before, you guys told me the frequency used to be 610. And Pat would go on all the time. WIP back in the beginning stages when that thing first started. And Pat was still working at Fox, I think maybe CBS, that he was still working at. And when that sports station was founded, Summerall, Irv Krauss, Tom Brookshire, Ed Schneider, all those guys, that's right, were all involved in that ownership of that radio station that you hear today that's owned by Odyssey. Odyssey acquired CBS. Well, CBS bought that station from Tom Brookshire. Ed Schneider was involved in it too. He did. He had shares in that thing. And that's where they got the funding from, the former owner of the Flyers, the former owner who passed away of the Flyers. And Ed told me that too, that they were involved in WIP. Sills, who was your most memorable sack against? Let's see here. Maybe I got a picture of it. You tell me who it is. My most memorable sack. Let's see if I have that picture. Okay. So who's this? Who is that? It's Montana. Montana 49ers. Okay. Xander wants to see it. So let me send this. Love that. Dude, that's one of my favorite pictures. I hit him, grabbed him, then see here, Xander. There you go. Joe Montana. 4 Super Bowl rings. Who's your biggest sack, Sills? Joe Montana. That's who it is. You tackled Joe Montana. Yes. Dude, you know what he said to me too? Patted me on the ass, and he goes like this, nice job, 93. I said, shut up. By the way, guess who I played against for that play? I played against Randy Krauss. Randy used to always like grunt. I'm like, what's this guy doing? Big cells. Look at this old bitch. Look at her right there. How you doing, Big Joe? Look at that. Here, let me give you a Howie. Yes, sir. Big Joe. I got credited with that sack too, man. Absolutely. Look at that. Arm over. Sack on Montana. Look at that, man. I glided like a gazelle back in the day. Was it like a gazelle? Wait a minute. I gotta show Jason Cole this a B. Just in case you ever want to know here, you know. Some of my best. Before I get Jason Cole on here, show Jason Cole. I want you to look, Jace, before I bring you on. Here's Big Sill sack in Montana. Go ahead, man. Look at that. Look at that son of a B right there, man. Big Sills. Joe Montana. Look at that there, Jason Cole. Bring up Jason Cole here. See if he can see that son of a B there. You see that, Jason?
Yeah.
Sack in Montana.
You're living off that moment for a whole lifetime.
Are you kidding? I got that snapshot in my wallet.
You just reminded me. So in the Elway book, so we'll bring it back to me. Since it's been about you, we're now going to make it about me. So in the Elway book, right, him and his buddies played this trick on a friend of theirs. They all got hammered on the way back from Fresno one time when they went to see a College World Series game, right? So they're all hammered, and they're all driving back, and one of their buddies passes out in the back of the car, right? So they drive back to Stanford, and they're all pissed at him because he had gotten arrested the day before. This is in the Elway book, right? And so they got pissed at him because he got arrested, so they had to bust him out of jail the next day, right? And pay for the whole thing and all this other stuff. They're still hammered on the way back because they stopped at one of the wineries on the way back from Fresno, right? So they decided to, pop a few that way. So he passes out because he's, hasn't slept and he's hammered. And they decide, screw this guy. He's our buddy, but he's got to pay for this, right? So they take his car and they put it on the patio of the president's house. And he wakes up the next day and he doesn't know where he is. He still thinks he's at the winery. He knocks on the side door to the house, not the front door, but the side door to the house. And Donald Kennedy, the then president of Stanford University, answers the door, right? And the guy goes, "Are my friends in there?" And Don Kennedy goes, "Well, I hope not."
Hilarious, man.
Right. And then and then the guy realizes, oh no, this is President Kennedy. And he goes, Are you Don Kennedy? And President Kennedy goes, "Yeah, and you're Ken Orvik. How did you get out of jail?"
Oh my God.
And this is the first time he's ever met the president of school.
Oh my
So that's number one. The president knows that you got popped on a Saturday night. How'd you end up next to his house? but the last part of it is I contacted Donald Kennedy about it because I wanted to verify the whole story, right? And Donald Kennedy goes, yeah, it happened. He goes, I took a picture of the car and I kept it in my wallet because when I traveled around talking to other school administrators, he goes, I wanted to show them, look, you're dealing with kids. Things will happen. And I'm like, that's so perfect. So Don Kennedy went around the country with a Polaroid picture of a dude's car in his wallet.
Hilarious, man. I love that. Let's do this, man. Did you need to know, or how about this one? Did you need to know that Warren Moon was a really great football player to be one of the greatest players of the generation? Like when you watched Lamar Jackson last night, how come I'm walking away from now watching him play? And I'm saying this now, Jason, that's one of the greatest players I've ever seen play this sport at that position. I'm already starting to get there now that what this guy is doing is, I mean, okay, you take Mahomes, but that guy is doing things that I thought could never be done, running it, throwing it. He's getting better. Is he one of those? Is he turning himself into a generational player? I guess is what I'm getting at here.
Well, he is, but he's a generational player with, unfortunately, one flaw. And as much as he's made himself a much better passer than he ever was, right? Like he's far better than he was when he first got in the league. We can all say that. We've all seen it, right? He's still not a super accurate passer against great defenses in playoff situations. He was really close last year, right? Like they're a fumble and a couple of fumbles away from winning the AFC Championship, probably winning a Super Bowl last year, right? Because they were tougher than the 49ers. They proved that during the regular season.
Yeah.
They beat the 49ers handily. That was a bad matchup for the 49ers last year, and they would have won that game probably a lot easier than the Chiefs did. But look, you and I both know that when you get to the playoffs, there's usually 4 to 6 throws during a playoff game that are really tough throws. Again, 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. And the guy who completes the most of those usually is the one who wins. It's like, Brady against Kansas City, that famous game where they hit, 3 3rd and 10s or what? I can't remember what the number is. That outrageous thing where he's just putting the ball in the tightest windows and the tightest spaces.
In Kansas City. The one in Kansas City.
The playoff game against the Chiefs where, I mean, it was just a remarkable game. Yeah, that was their last title with the Patriots. And that's what it takes. And I think Lamar is still not that guy in terms of being accurate on that many throws. But in a regular season game where, you have more room for error, like he's unbelievable. That scramble where they're on the 12-yard line and he ends up on the 1 when he backpedals to the 30 and then runs 30 yards, it's just a crazy play that very few humans can ever do that. And so, we're watching Michael Vick with a better arm and a better system around him and better coaching. And, it's a remarkable thing. He's an awesome player.
It's Eagles and Cowboys this week. And I had Tony Casillas on with me a couple days ago. And I asked him this question about Jerry Jones. And, I know it wasn't you, but I'd like to know, or wasn't you 50 guys? It was the Veterans Committee guys. I have no idea how Jerry Jones got into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. When it comes to
I voted for him.
But let me ask you this here. What he's done was he combined the general manager's role and the ownership role, and they're two separate things. He has been arguably over the 30 years the worst general manager in pro football because he's got a losing record. They've never been to the second round outside of the Switzer year that Jimmy left them with. How is that guy considered a football guy, Jason, when he arguably has, for that length of time, the worst record of any general manager in the history of the league. How is that guy? Because he what? He knows how to brand. He knows how to promote. He knows how to accentuate the league. He knows how to make more money for the league. I'm not debating that. But for the Hall of Fame voters to combine that, he's not a football guy. Look at the ruin they're in. They're in worse shape right now than they were when they were 1-15.
He's P.T. Barnum.
Is that Hall of Fame though?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you may not like it. You may disagree with me. I'm not disputing. Look, I got problems with his record as a GM. I understand that. But the guy's negotiated some of the biggest deals in the history of the league. He's been an amazing entrepreneur. I mean, he's not just a branding expert. He's a genius.
But like, look at what you're talking about. You're talking about non-field related, and he's pushed himself.
So
that. All right.
Well, football's a business too. I mean, he has raised the spectacle of the league with his ability to draw attention. He's part of that. I mean, the game is important. The game is most important part, but you need personalities. You need people. You need people to play the role of Al Davis. You could argue Al Davis was a terrible GM for most of the last part of his career. Like, look at Al Davis's record drafting quarterbacks, right? Like Jamarcus Russell, Todd Marinovich, Mark Wilson,
George.
Well, he picked him up, but he drafted the other three guys. He took those guys with high picks. One was high on what they call that stuff, codeine and
the drank. The drank.
Purple drank. He was high on purple drank. The other one was high on heroin. I can't believe
you referenced purple drank. NyQuil,
purple drank, baby.
Purple drank
with a Jolly Rancher, with a Jolly Rancher thrown in.
Yes.
It's what is it? I think it's Sprite. It's Sprite. With like Benadryl and a Jolly Rancher.
Wow, this guy's been around. This guy's been around.
I have been around. I've been. I can't say that I've participated, thankfully, but I've been around, man. I've seen some stuff. I get the argument on Jerry Jones. But he's a show. That's what this is about. It's about a show. And when we talk about pro football being a soap opera, I mean, he's the Susan Lucci of owners, right? And the other thing that I always give Jerry credit for is he will stand in there and he will answer questions. Now, he may do it too much to the degradation of his coach, and we've been down that line. But we beg these guys to talk, and most of them are scared out of their minds. They don't know how to talk to the media. They don't this guy's got his own radio show.
2 of them.
Right. And you're telling me I'm supposed to complain about that? No, I'm rewarding that. I'm rewarding a guy who
do you think
he's
done
that.
More to promote the league than what even Roselle did?
I don't know if it's more or less. It's a lot. But they're both in the Hall of Fame. I mean, Roselle was the guy who sold the league on revenue sharing. I mean, I know Wellington Mara was the guy who actually did it. I'm not disputing that fact. That's absolutely true. But Roselle's the one who said, look, the way that we're going to survive is we got to share revenue. He convinced those guys that this was the right path. So, Roselle is important in his own way. All these guys have different things that are their skill set that are really critical. The one guy I've always never really been on board with Tagliabue. But you can give me Jerry all day. Tagliabue, I wasn't on board with that, but they voted him in anyways.
I got it. But here, let me throw this at you, Jason. When you look at Joe Burrow now, do you consider him, because he was marvelous himself last night, and of course he's in a bad position now because he's with Mike Brown, and obviously the zippers that they have on their wallets when they come to tooling football teams. I mean, if you go back maybe a little bit of Paul Brown, maybe a little bit with Forrest Gregg. Obviously, you saw a little bit with Sam Weish, but that organization really hasn't had a lot of consistency in winning. If you're Joe Burrow, do you get fed up eventually and want out of that joint?
Well, we'll see. What do they do? Are they going to jerk around Jamar Chase? See, I don't, I understand not paying T. Higgins, right? Like, I get that. You can't have them all, right? And you can't pay him long-term and pay Jamar Chase. But how long are you going to jerk around Jamar Chase? And are you going to jerk him around so long that I don't have him? Because if I don't have that dude, I'm not sticking around long-term for that. I will agree with that. That's where I think there's some problems. Or are you not making sure that I have my offensive lineman? Are you not making sure that I have, all the tools that I need to have to win? So I get what you're saying. I don't think we've reached that point.
How much of an impact do you think Christian McCaffrey will make on the 49ers resurgence? And you looking at them, because you and I know this, the war of attrition is going to play a factor in the National Football League. So teams you see on November 8th are going to be completely different. Hell, next week, the 12th of November, the 49ers are going to be different because they're getting McCaffrey back. How much of an impact do you think that makes in their positioning on what they could possibly do in the NFC?
Well, you've already seen Jordan Mason starting to tire out. So they need a spark because Mason's right. The kid was a Guerrero. Guerrero's done a nice job the last couple of games, and they're going to need him. So certainly from just getting through the running back position, he's critical. He's really critical as a receiver, obviously, per Purdy. But I will say this, the 49ers are second in the league in yards per play differential. They're still a great team, even through the first half, with all the injuries that they have suffered. What they have not done is secured every game that they're supposed to secure. They've screwed up too many games so far, and they got to stop doing that. McCaffrey helps them stop screwing up the games. But these fourth quarter things where they're giving up big plays to Tutu Atwell and screwing up their special team, that's all got to stop. They have to start playing cleaner football. Even the game against Dallas, where it looked like they were going to track meet the Cowboys and run them out of the joint, they let that game get competitive again, and they shouldn't have let it get competitive. It never got really dicey, but it was closer than that game should have been, because I think after so many years of being this good, they have a tendency to play with their food. They just don't, they don't put games away the way they should. And the Chiefs were like that for a few years. I think the Chiefs have gotten better because the defense, the younger guys who are on defense, don't have that mentality. I think Mahomes has a little of that mentality, which is why he's not playing the sharpest football of his year, of his career, and he's got to get hyped in a playoff sense. But the younger guys on defense, no, they got a little bit more to play for. The 49ers are lapsing into that a little bit right now.
Two last ones here for you. I want to throw something off at you and tell me what you think of this. So I happen to have been kicking around a little bit yesterday, and I was talking to Jason Light, and I didn't know that Jason Light is a gigantic protege of Bill Belichick, and those guys were all together up in New England, and it's being talked about that Bill Belichick has been around the building down there with Jason Light and with the Glazers, and that if the thing goes south with the Buccaneers and they move off of Todd Bowles, that you could possibly see Bill Belichick becoming the head football coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the Glazers, again, they're an organization that kind of stays out of the way. They don't really get in the way of football operations all that much now that Malcolm's no longer around. Could you see that him working? Because that's a guy he's worked with in the past before when they had that success up there with Nick Caserio and also with Scott Pioli up in New England. Could you see that be a landing place for him? Because it's being talked about. He's been in the building a lot the last month.
I could see it. I it would be comfortable for Belichick. He'd also have a slightly better quarterback. I'm not sure what he thinks of Baker. I mean, there's some good and some bad. I think Baker
He's getting closer to being the guy that everybody thought he was going to be early on. And maybe Belichick takes him the rest of the distance. I'm humored by the fact that he would be following in Brady's footsteps down to Tampa.
I am too. Finally,
that tickles me. But yeah, I can see it happening.
Finally here, halfway mark of the season. Are you taking the field or the Chiefs to repeat as champions?
I'm taking the Chiefs.
Wow.
I'm taking the Chiefs because you know why? That'd be a hell of a story.
Unbelievable. Be the story of our life. They would go down with the Dolphins, the Steelers, the Patriot teams, and you could clearly.
I'd argue it's the greatest. I'd argue it's the greatest team achievement ever. And look, I have all the respect in the world for what the Patriots did over a 20-year period of time, but there is something about winning 3 straight. Holy moly, man! Like that is. People have no idea how hard.
You think
that's
Lombardi kind of stuff, then, right? Like
I think it's better than Lombardi. It's because look, when Lombardi did it, it was a 12-team league.
Yep.
14-team.
Yep.
I have a lot of respect for the Packers, but I mean, come on. It was a 14-team league. It was 40-man rosters. We weren't playing all the exotic defenses, and there was no salary cap. The Packers were kept together. And again, I'm not trying to dismiss the Packers, but I'm saying, 60, 70 years later, the accomplishment is so much harder than it was back then. So I'm cheering I'll take the Chiefs. And not because, there's this great logic. It's because it's a really special thing.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be one of the greatest accomplishments. No, you're right. Excuse me. I'll take it back. It'd be the greatest team accomplishment in NFL history if those guys were able to do something like that. Hey, has there ever been a team, even when the NFL had championships besides that Packer team, how many teams have gone 3 in a row? I know the Cleveland team did it.
Yeah. Oh, well, Cleveland won 7 in 10 years, but that was between the AAFC and then coming into the NFL, which is still an amazing thing. The Packers run. I'm not sure if the Packers in the
Curly
Lambeau might have won 3 straight.
Yeah, I think
way back then. But again, I'm not trying to dismiss those accomplishments. They are great things, but the modern era of football is a whole lot more sophisticated.
Well, I'm going to get my drink on here, and we haven't had a drink reference.
Baby. A little Sprite.
I forgot the Jolly Rancher.
It's Tussin, baby. You got to throw the Tussin in there.
I got to throw the Tussin and the Rancher. I got to get the Rancher in there too. I forgot about the Jolly Rancher too, man.
The Jolly Rancher.
The Jolly
Sprite,
Rancher. Jason.
Sprite. It's
the dirty Sprite.
That's so great.
Unbelievable.
So great.
Hey, man, we've seen some characters. Thank you, Jason. Have a great weekend, my friend.
You too, man. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
You got it, Jason Cole. So we get a drink reference here. Yeah, I'm not sure how much I was supposed to say that. So hey, get this. Again, I'm not a freaking reporter. You guys know that. I'm not a freaking reporter. But so I'm talking, hey, get this. Bruce Arians. So, I don't know. Hit the like button here. Hey, is it me or is it Jason always over at the Piggly Wiggly or something? Or like he's always like over at the Albertsons or something. Okay? I mean, right? I don't know. What is that with that? Every time I call him, he's over at the Albertsons. Okay? I don't know. Yeah, what is that? This guy's shopping at the Albertsons. It's probably like a football weekend. I love the guy though, man. All right, hang on here. Let me try to word this right. See, what I do now is I write words down so I don't get myself in trouble. Because back in the day, I used to get myself in trouble with my words, obviously. Okay. So, Bill Belichick has been in Tampa the last month. Couple days, a week. And Jason Light and him are like this. They're great friends, and they talk constantly. As a matter of fact, from what I understood, leading up to the trading deadline, they conferred back and forth about potential personnel that the Bucs could add to the team. And Bill made his comments, and I don't know what players. I don't know because I didn't go deep into what players. But I know Bill has met with Brian Glazer and the Glazer family. Bill has met with them. I don't know what, and it wasn't supposed to be reported that much because Todd's still, I think he's 4-5. Okay. Yeah. Bowles is looking over his shoulder. I mean, I don't think Todd Bowles has done a bad job there, actually. I actually like Todd Bowles a lot. Okay? I do. I like him a lot. But, you know, hey, last year the Eagles were in conversations with Belichick too. That didn't mean they were going to hire him. Dude, when you got a coach like that and he's floating around out there, Jimmy Johnson has been talking to Jerry Jones about the direction of the football team in 2025. Yeah, Baker's playing his best ball, and I think that's got to be one of the things that Bruce Arians has said is that, do you want to upset that? But could Belichick make Baker Mayfield a better player too? Who do you think could make Baker Mayfield a better player? Todd Bowles or Bill Belichick? So, and from what I just was text, Bill Belichick went on a podcast and was mentioning his fondness for Jason Light. So you can read into whatever you want. The Bucs have I don't know if I could say interest, but the Buccaneers have communications right now with Bill Belichick. And I didn't say to be head coach. I asked that question. And I asked Bruce that question, and he goes, I don't think that's been discussed. But I think that Jason has asked him directional and also assistant coach's opinion on who he likes and some of the players that are out there potentially. That could be something that the Buccaneers could be interested in. So I think the Bucs have interest in Belichick. Okay. Carlos, once again. Okay, Carlos. What did Bill Walsh do without Joe Montana? What did Chuck Noll do without Bradshaw? Pick another great coach. What did Mike Shanahan do without Elway? What did Parcells do without Bill Belichick? Bill Walsh never won a Super Bowl with Steve Young. Never coached him to a Super Bowl win. Not true. The head coach was George Seifert. He brought him in from the Bucs. Untrue. Okay? Untrue. Right. Look at LJ, what would Andy Reid be without Mahomes? Andy Reid, Donovan McNabb. So when that guy says, what's Belichick done without Brady? Name me an absolute NFL legendary head coach outside of Joe Gibbs that won 3 Super Bowls with 3 different guys that can make that assessment. Name me one. He cheated? No, he didn't. Now you sound like election denier. He cheated. Yeah, that's right. He cheated. Deflated footballs. How stupid can you get? Unbelievable. Deflated footballs. Unbelievable. They all go hand in hand. That's right. Great coach, great quarterback. They all go hand in hand. Okay? Hey, and by the way, Carlos, doesn't he get credit for drafting him, developing him, and making him into a winner? Do you understand, Carlos? At one time, Bill Belichick had 4 starting quarterbacks that he had drafted, starting in the NFL at one time. He had Garoppolo, Brissett, Brady, and Mac Jones. 4 dudes. I'm not telling you all are great. I'm just telling you, 2 of them got to Super Bowls. Garoppolo and Brady. Had 4 guys he drafted and put in the that he put into Super Bowls or were starting at one time. And as I brought this up too, Carlos. Hey, Carlos, do you think there's any coincidence? Matt Castle too, he drafted. Hey, Carlos, do you think there's any coincidence that he coached 2 of the greatest players on both sides of the ball, Brady and LT? That's right, Clairvoy. This guy coached Lawrence Taylor and Tom Brady. You think there's a coincidence to that? I mean, he's coached 2 of the greatest players of all time. And on top of that, as a coach and coordinator, he has 8 rings. I mean, he has 8 rings, and he has been, let me see, he went to 10. He's 7-3. Excuse me. He's 6-3 as a head coach in New England. He was a coaching assistant with Bill Parcells when they lost to the Packers. So he's got 7 and then 8. He's got 10. He's got 10 conference championship rings and 6 Super Bowl rings as a head coach and defensive coordinator. There's not a coach in pro football with that resume. I mean, 10 conference title rings, 6 Super Bowls, and I coached 2 of the greatest players in the sports history. Yeah, I think that's first ballot. Okay, I mean, right? That I don't. Sills, would Belichick have full autonomy of the Bucs if he becomes head coach? I don't think he wants it because I think he trusts Jason Light. But again, I think that kind of general manager, I think he works with the head coaches. See, in Philly, you work for Howie. Right? All right. The legendary Philly Godfather is going to join us in the Power Hour. We'll reset some of the stuff we talked about last night. Holy shit, did you see those legendary quarterbacks? Unbelievable. We'll look at week 10 of the NFL. Hit that like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
He's blocked well and tries to cut through the middle. Oh!
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on Sports Grid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
Score and save at Southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com.
I get scared sometimes.
Of a lot of things.
Joining in.
Decisions.
The dark.
The dark.
But I once heard someone say,
But as I always say,
it's okay to be afraid.
as long as you face the fear.
And keep moving forward.
Wherever you are in life, count on the name trusted in insurance for over 80 years. Independence Blue Cross.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer three major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Heading down the shore. Have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood day.
Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
EAGLES. Eagles.
Holy cow. Big Sales National Football Show. I got to show you guys this here. Man, do I have a lot of things popping up here. Look at what I have to vote for. Okay, let me turn this around to you here. So this is what I have to vote for college football coming up. Let me see here. Wow. Look at all these ballots I have to go through here. So here's the list of all the things that I vote on. I'm voting on the first team All-American defense and offense. I'm voting on the Heisman Trophy, the Bronco Nagurski Award, the Outland Trophy, the Lombardi Award, the Eddie Robinson Award, the Walter Camp Player of the Year, Coach of the Year, the National Football Foundation's Maxwell Awards for the NFL Player of the Year, College Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and Offensive Player of the Year. They gave me a calendar of the things that I have to have in. I think I just got my Lombardi award that I have to do here. I think I have to have that. Holy cow. Look at this. And I have to do my mid-season awards here a little bit for Oh, I can't show you that because wait, maybe I can. Let me see. Yeah, here. There's nothing on there, I don't think. This is one of my favorite awards that I love this, and I love being on the board of directors for this one here. This is the Lombardi Award. And I love that award. It's given to the nation's top linemen in the country, offensively or defensively. So I vote on all of this. And I think I vote on the Jesus criminy, guys. I hope I'm not boring you with this, but because I enjoy doing this in college for the college kids. I always said that if I was given an opportunity, that I would always be fair because I thought I was jobbed out of a bunch of them myself, awards in college. Yeah, the Biletnikoff Award. I got to vote on the Biletnikoff, which is the top wide receiver in college football. Yeah. Yeah. I've got to vote on the Biletnikoff, but I have an MVP vote when it comes to the college. When it comes to the NFL, I have an MVP vote. Is Ryan Williams a finalist? Let me see if I have him on here, Xander. Let me see if I have him on here. Yeah, I tell you guys, only you guys. Honestly, I don't divulge this stuff. Let me see if I sent that in. Yes. Yes. Biletnikoff. And first team All-American. Yes. I like him. But, Xander, they dropped that game to LSU this weekend. Bama's got to – there's an elimination game this weekend between Bama and LSU. If Bama loses and LSU wins, that'll dictate a lot of that all-American stuff. And you know what? Somebody just asked me a question here. And I got, by the way, Dion is pissed off at me, but he relented and he went through Michael Irvin because I posted something I shouldn't have posted. I said that I would never vote for a Colorado guy. I said I would never vote for a Colorado guy, and that's not fair to the kid. And actually, Colorado, if they win this weekend against Texas Tech, and there's a significant loss in the Big 12, they could be in line to potentially make the Final 12. So that's just totally not fair. So what I did was, yeah, he's on my Heisman list. He's second to Cam Ward from Miami. I got to be careful with that Heisman vote because of my background and my bias. So Cam has to finish strong. Here's my problem with Cam Ward for the Heisman Trophy. They haven't played a ranked team. And that's a problem for me. I mean, Cam's put up numbers against, like here, if Cam Ward played in the SEC, would he be like that? I don't think so. Xander says if we lose the LSU, Bama fans are going to call for Kalen DeBoer's job. He probably will. They'll call for it. They'll give him another year. And I wouldn't be surprised if yeah, Duke's ranked, Jarrell, you're right. I mean, I would say this to you. Don't be shocked if Dabo Swinney ends up getting a call. If that guy loses to LSU, I'm very close to Dabo. You know, he's been on the program 3 times. And I would probably think that Dabo, because he's a Bama guy, would probably go to Alabama. and they would want him there. I know that he has and was offered the job before the Washington. Xander, I don't know if you know this, but Dabo Swinney was offered the Bama job prior to the guy from Washington getting the gig. I mean, he's an Alabama guy. I think he played with Gene. Hey, Xander, am I right? I think Dabo played with I think he played with Gene. I think he played with him. I think he played with Coach that won the national championship before Nick got there. I thought he was on that team. I don't know if he was a Bama guy or he may. Oh no, he played for Ray. He played for Ray. Yeah, he played for Ray Perkins when he was at Alabama. Ray was my coach. Okay. I would have been a 10-time All-Pro in the NFL. I chose to go a different route. Yeah, I know. I got a guy too, man. I got a guy that comes up to me all the time. He's the guy that goes like this. Hey, Sills, I was like, I was 14 All-City, there in Cherry Hill. And I got hurt. And I said, what'd you do? He goes, well, I was a returner there in Cherry Hill. And I was a 4-team All-City guy. I'm like, they have 4 teams? He goes, no, but I put myself on it, I put myself on it. Oh, so this is like an infamous team that never existed that you put – okay, I got it. So you're 4-team All-City. And the guy goes, yeah. I go, okay, I got it. Yeah. 4-team All-City. Hey, all right, I'm there. I'm with you. Hey, I got you. Hey, by the way, the greatness. Hey, can I show you guys something? Now, listen, know this. I'm moving this weekend. And by the way, I may be very Andre on Sunday. Okay? I haven't said to anything, but I'm moving. So the background is going to be completely different. But I got to show you something I found. Xander, I'm going to show him something that I found. So hang on. And just so you know, that picture that Xander had, okay, that picture that Xander had, I didn't even know where that thing was. But look at this shit. So my daughter goes like this, do you want this? So check it out. And I was like, I haven't seen this like ever. So they don't even have Sport Magazine. Look at all the independent teams. This is the All-American independent team. And on this team is Michael Irvin, Tim Brown, Big Sills, Bill Romanowski, Deion Sanders, Benny Blades, Coach of the Year. No, and keep an eye on Tony Saragusa, Coach of the Year. Bobby Bowden. Look at that thing up top. And this one down here is the All Sporting News team, All American Sporting News. I think Big Cell's right there. Where is it? Is Big Cell's on that? There it is. Okay. Look at this shit. That was 4-team All-City, though, from Cherry Hill. So here are the quarterbacks. Don McPherson. Running backs, Craig Hayward. Receivers, Michael Irvin. Sterling Sharp. Tim Brown. Offensive linemen, Mark Stebnoski. Steve Wisniewski. D-line, Big Sills. Saragusa. Stubbs. Bill Romanowski, Deion Sanders. That's a pretty good group of guys there, man. I made an All-American team with. There's two of them, actually. Two All-American teams. Sporting News, and Sport. I don't even know if they have Sport Magazine any longer. So you were so wait a minute. You were 4-team All-City Cherry Hill, right? Hey, I like it. You make these teams up that I like it. I dig it. I'm good. Hey, I like it. Yeah. Right? I like it there. Hey, Dick Train is a broken back bitch. Oh, man. Hey, by the way, damn your old Sills. Even all this. Hey, how about this? Hey, yeah, damn you're old. Come on, man. That ain't right. You think I'm old? Those are a long time ago, man. Shit, man, I think you almost had to roll your helmet up and put it in your pocket back in the day. Oh, dude, Ron Dane was a great football player. Really was. Hey, did you see those quarterbacks last night? Hey, LJ, that's how you play the quarterback position. You see those studs last night? That's how you play the QB position. That's quarterbacks. That's my quarterback. Man. Holy cow. That was unbelievable. I can't wait to get the Philly Godfather in here, man. Did you see those quarterbacks last night? That's how you play the position. Not wishbone handing it off like, like this and shit like this. That, unbelievable, that game last night. With all that being said, you guys want to make some money here? We're going to make some money Week 10 National Football League and also some college games. I just pointed out to you. By the way, pretty cool how many teams. And we will ask you guys because I'm voting on the Heisman. I'm voting on Player of the Year. I'm voting on all the All-American teams. I'm voting on every single college football award that's on the planet, including Walter Camp. And I got an MVP vote for the NFL when it comes to the Players' Honors, NFL Alumni Award that you see with that show. So we'll do that all here exclusively on the National Football Show. And speaking of exclusively, I don't do very many shows, and I don't have very many people come on my program unless I love them, and they bring greatness. This is one of my favorite segments. It is, without further ado, the man that will get you a condo overlooking the French Riviera. He is our friend, the Philly Godfather. How you doing, brother?
What a great week to be an American, Dan. It's a beautiful thing. The Republic was saved. And I don't want to get emotional, but we won a ton of freaking cash betting on Trump. I bet on Trump to win the popular vote. There's 8 billion people in the world. And I might be the only person that bet on him to win the popular vote at 4-1, at 3.5-1. I bet on Trump to have over 311.5 in the Electoral College at plus 200. I bet on him to land anywhere from 300 to 329 in the Electoral College, plus 325. I bet all the unders on Kamala Harris. I bet him to win Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan. I bet him to win Georgia, North Carolina. It was really, it was a beautiful day, not just for my bankroll, but for America.
It's always good when you get the double deuce like that, right? You get it like that, it's helping your money and raising your 401k, I'm sure, which makes it a trifecta, too, if you're looking at what the stock market did, too. So
that's beautiful.
Hey, speaking of that, speaking of betting on people, and I just told you that I'm going to be voting for the Heisman Trophy. Who are your top 3 guys right now that you would pick for the Heisman?
I mean, it's got to be Cam Ward, the guys that we bet before the season started. But, I'm not being biased, but he's the best quarterback in college football as of right now. It's got to be Travis Hunter, maybe physically the best athlete in the world in college football, and Dylan Gabriel. I mean, I think those guys, are the top guys right now. And that kid from Boise,
Yep.
He's on the outside looking in. But
running back.
Yeah, for me right now, it's Cam Ward and everyone else. But those other two guys are, real close to him.
Okay, last night I saw MVP performance by the best player right now in the NFL this year. Now, that doesn't mean he's the best player in the sport, but he is playing the best football. Listen to these numbers here. Lamar Jackson now is on pace for 46-37, 42 touchdowns and 3 picks, and 973 rushing yards, and 123 quarterback rating. And, I mean, what we're watching right now is a historic performance. I mean, he's the MVP favorite, but has the needle moved at all for Jalen Hurts?
No. I mean, there's probably 7 guys ahead of him, maybe 6. But, I mean, come on. He can't match Lamar Jackson. And I've been a critic of Lamar Jackson for so long, and especially in the playoffs, but you can't argue. He's still young. It seems like he keeps getting better every year.
27.
Yeah, and then last night he did a lot of other things that really impressed me. Now, it is the Bengals defense. Okay, so they're not, top 5. And it's not going to be a defense that he faces deep in the playoffs that he struggled with. But during the regular season, I mean, Lamar Jackson's been unreal. Josh Allen's been unreal. Mahomes is Mahomes.
Golf.
And Jared Goff, that was my guy. I took him out of the flyer at 28-1. I just thought.
How about Jaden Daniels?
Yeah, Jaden Daniels is right after Jared Goff. And then you could throw in Joe Burrow, who's having a big season, though his team ain't that good. And then maybe Jalen Hurts, the Sam Darnolds, the Kirk Cousins after that. But right now, it's Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and Jared Goff, and obviously Mahomes.
Absolutely, man. Can you imagine this? By the age of 27, he'll have 3 most valuable player awards. And he can only solidify his career if he wins the Super Bowl. You put a Super Bowl around that, it would be absolutely insanity on what that guy would have. So let's get into, hey, by the way, how about the team itself, the Eagles? Do you think the Eagles have moved and has that number moved for them being more of a favorite to potentially win the NFC and get into the Super Bowl and win it?
Yeah, it's gotten a little bit better. With how they've performed the last few weeks, and obviously they've won a few games in a row. But as of right now, the Chiefs are the odds-on favorite at like 3.5-1, followed by the Detroit Lions, a team that we picked at plus 450. Then it's the Ravens, the Bills, and surprisingly, the 49ers and the Eagles still have the same odds, even though the 49ers, I mean, what are they, at 500 right now? But they've gotten healthy. I think
they get McCaffrey back this week.
I think now is the time to start betting on that team. I'm really bullish moving forward. And even though they got the 3rd best record in the division, they do have the best point differential in the West, in the NFC West. So this is a team that if you're looking to bet on them, you can start betting them now.
Okay, let's get into it here. I'm not going to bore you with Giants and Carolina. I think that's a draft game, obviously. I mean, that's kind of a game that, I mean, what are you playing for? You're playing for 2025 here. But how about this one here? Chicago's kind of hanging on to a playoff spot in the NFC North right now, and that quarterback, Caleb Williams, is not playing very good football over the last 3 weeks here. And New England has been sneaky where they jump in on teams, and all of a sudden they come out of nowhere. And that kid from North Carolina, their rookie quarterback, is playing a little bit better here. It's in Chicago. It's at Soldier Field. How do you see New England versus Chicago?
Yeah, that line opened up with the Bears being a 7-point favorite. And, I mean, there's some sharp money that came in on the Patriots right away. Drove that line down to 6 off that key number of 7. I'm not sure if they quit on the coach, that Bears team.
Eberflus.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But New England's been gritty. They've been in a lot of games. They've had some issues on their offensive line being banged up. But their quarterback, Drake May, I mean, he's outperformed Caleb Williams. If you look at the numbers, if you look at, comparisons, I hate to say it, but up to this point of the season, I don't want to say Caleb Williams has been a bust, but he's been a major disappointment. You don't draft number 1 for average. You draft
overall.
Yeah, you draft number 1 for greatness.
Yeah.
And the fact that they passed on Jaden Daniels, I mean, those guys got to be, a little upset out there in Chicago, but in this matchup, after what the Bears did against, the Commanders, it's hard for me to back them here, even though they are at home. There's probably going to be some weather in that game. But 7 points is a ton in the NFL. I mean, teams laying 7 this year have covered the spread, I think, less than 30% of the time. And, the Bears are a little banged up on defense. I mean, Patriots ain't scaring nobody. I didn't bet the game yet, but there is some sharp money that took some +7 on the Patriots here.
How about this one? If you're Chicago and you're upper management now, wouldn't you say this? So has Caleb Williams been an upgrade over Justin Fields? I mean, Justin Fields, yet the only reason they moved off him in Pittsburgh is because they wanted to open up the downfield passing game, which that's the one thing that he struggled with. But he won a ton of ball games in Pittsburgh for them. And when I look at what I'm watching with Caleb, I mean, is that at the end of the day going to be an upgrade over Justin Fields? And so far, I don't see it.
Yeah, I don't see it either. And what scared me about Williams was early in the preseason, he would drive down to the red zone, and then the drives would stop. It was like the game was too fast for him in the red zone. And I think that's correlated to him playing some of the worst defenses in college football. And no one talks about that, while Jaden Daniels was tearing up the SEC. So I don't think Caleb Williams was NFL ready when he came into this league. Now, can he get better? Obviously, but he's going to need a much better offensive line, much better offensive coach, much better quarterback coach, or else he might never get to where he might have been if he had all those things in place. But again, obviously bad offensive line in Chicago, not the best coaching, but eventually you're going to run out of excuses because there's other guys with bad offensive lines, like in Houston with C.J. Stroud, and they're looking pretty good. Even Jalen Hurts, their offensive line this year in Philly isn't that good. Drake May with the Patriots, he's putting up much better numbers, and the offensive lines are just as bad as Chicago.
Washington doesn't have a great O-line.
Yeah, so eventually they become excuses, and you run out of time. But I hope he gets better. Listen, I want to see all these guys succeed.
Yeah, sure.
And at the end of the day, to make the NFL, you're one of the greatest athletes in the world. So if I say someone blows or someone's not, it doesn't mean he's not a great athlete. It just means at this level of competition, he's just not that good.
Hey, Xander, show my boy the picture of Big Silsack in Montana. I gotta bring that up when you can here. Buffalo at Indianapolis. It's in Indianapolis too, by the way. What do you like here?
I mean, line's kind of short, 3.5, 4. Total's at 46.5, and the Bills have looked great all season. Other than that loss to Baltimore, I mean, and you saw how good they looked last night. I think that was like week 4 of the season. The Bills seem to
look at that there, Philly. Look at that. Big Sills hitting. There's Montana and Big Sills there.
Wow.
Huh? Look at that.
Wow.
Big Sills. Yeah. By the way, because we're moving, I found this picture. I'm keeping that bad puppy in my wallet. Sorry. Hey, I'm keeping that in my wallet there.
We're talking about the Bills, right? But
yeah, go ahead.
So I mean, other than losing to the Ravens this year, it seems like they blow everybody out except for teams in their own division, like the Jets and the Dolphins. Even though they did beat the Dolphins, I think it was week 1 or week 2, pretty bad. The Colts, on the other hand, I mean, they've been in almost every game this season, and that's a testament to their coach. I think the Colts have had 18 one-score games since Shane Steichen has become their coach. So he's really impressive as a head coach.
He is.
I'm not looking to take Indy here, even though they are catching 3.5, 4 points at home. If the line gets any lower, maybe Buffalo might be the play for me. But I can't back the Colts here, man. They turn the ball over a little too much. They're ranked 14th in the NFL in the turnover margin. And I'm not betting Flacco over Josh Allen. I mean, Josh Allen's a beast. So, no, I can't do it.
Even though he's a Paisan, I'm with you. I'd go negative on that one too here. Denver at Kansas City. Bo Nix, not bad. I mean, they dropped one last week, Denver. And Kansas City. It's almost like they play shitty ball for 50 minutes, and then the last 10, they just come up and they figure a way to win. I just had Jason Cole on, and I go, Jason, are you taking them to win 3 Super Bowls in a row or the field? He goes, I'm taking the Chiefs. I mean, they're at Arrowhead. It's a divisional game. How do you see this game here, Broncos and Chiefs?
Yeah, for a division game, I think it's a little bit too much. You're getting 8 points. The Chiefs are laying 8.
Wow, really? I might take Denver on that.
Yeah, 8-41. I mean, I think the Chiefs all year have only won 2 games by 8 points or more, if I'm not mistaken. So a lot of their games have been close. The Broncos, they appear to be 100% healthy on offense and defense. They were embarrassed last week, so I'm expecting a little bounce back game for Denver here. If you like the Chiefs, I mean, you're better off probably putting them in a teaser, a 6 or 7 point teaser. You can drop that line down to like -1, -2, right below that key number of 3. The other thing that I don't like about betting on the Chiefs this week is they're coming off of 6 days rest. It's been a short week for them. They went to overtime, so that always hurts a team. The following week, I think teams that go into overtime on a short week's rest only cover the spread like 40% of the time. So it's not good if you're looking at the market. But +8, I kind of like Denver a little bit.
Atlanta at New Orleans. I mean, New Orleans is they fired their coach. They're in flames right now. They'll probably man up and want it because, again, you're saving jobs here. Atlanta, man, I mean, with Kirk Cousins, here he is again putting up a great year. He's having a great season. He's made a massive impact and a huge upgrade from Desmond Ridder of a year ago. I'm actually seeing Kyle Pitts now. You're looking and seeing what really Bijan Robinson I thought was going to be when he came out of Texas. I mean, I actually like Atlanta, man. I mean, they've beaten Eagles even this year, and they're a pretty good football team. But, it's funny about that NFC South, man. And that thing has always been tough. That thing has always been weird. So, I mean, how do you see this one, Atlanta going into New Orleans?
Yeah, like you said, it's a division game, and those games are always tough. These teams know each other like the back of their hand, but I really can't see the Saints hanging around here. I mean, they're banged up on offense. They're banged up on defense. They let the Panthers beat them last week in Carolina. I mean, come on. It's ugly down there at 1500 Sugar Bowl Drive in New Orleans right now. Like, that team is, they started off 2-0. You remember? Oh, this team's going, and then they got decimated with so many injuries, and that's been the biggest reason why you've seen such a decline on that team. I think Kirk Cousins has another big day. If you want to bet him over 238.5 passing yards, I think you cash a ticket. If you want to bet him over, I think the line is 1.5 on touchdowns. I think he gets at least 2. I don't know. I would buy the hook and bet the Falcons just in case there's a backdoor cover, but I can't see that happening. I kind of like the Falcons here.
Only a man who's been to that casino down outside of the Superdome would know the address of what the Superdome is. There's a casino that's right out there near Bourbon. That's right around the corner over there. You are a man of the world, my friend.
I get around sometimes.
Absolutely. Only a man who's been around that casino would know the address of that bitch. All right. 49ers versus the Buccaneers. Buccaneers really played without their star wide receivers, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. They played the Niners tooth and nail all the way to the very end of that football game. You saw Baker Mayfield shake his head when he knew that he'd lost a coin toss to the Chiefs and it was over. But it's at Raymond James. 49ers have evened the score. They're back to 500. Who do you like in this one?
Yeah, how great has Baker Mayfield been? I mean, the last 2 seasons.
Do you know that? Get this. You want to hear something crazy? Going into this week, obviously last night starts the new week for the NFL. It's week 10. But heading up to week 9, finishing week 9, Baker Mayfield had more touchdowns than any player in pro football. He had 25.
Wow.
I mean, this guy's got 25 touchdowns heading into week 10. That shows you how great. And like you said it a year ago, he's completely outplayed Jalen Hurts since the start of 2023. And by the way, it's not close.
Yes, I mean, if you put him on the Eagles, the Birds might be undefeated.
Yeah, no doubt.
I don't know about all that. I like busting chops, but
don't worry. They'll start crying in a minute. Go ahead.
He has played well. I'm a Jalen Hurts fan, football player. But like I said earlier, San Fran's in 3rd place in the division, but they still have the best point differential in the NFC West. They're starting to get really, really healthy. I think it's time to be bullish on Shanahan's team here. They should start putting some nice wins together. Tampa Bay is also coming off a short week like Kansas City. in an overtime loss, and that never fares well the following week for these teams, especially in the sports betting market. 49ers have a top 10 defense. They got some added rest off their bye. The public's probably going to be all over the 49ers, but I think, at -6, I think they cover the spread. Anything under a touchdown, I think the 49ers get you the money.
I got to show you something here just so that your point is well taken right now here, and so that all these Jalen Hurts lovers will put their head on their pillow tonight. Right now, Baker Mayfield is on pace for 4,613 passing yards and 44 touchdowns with a 71 quarterback completion percentage. There is nothing Hurts is doing that's remotely close to that.
No. And there's no weapons on the field for Baker.
Nothing.
And they're not playing this week again. So and you know what? When he was with Cleveland, he was banged up. He had those shoulder problems. I think that hindered him a lot. I think the coaching really – I think he's got a great coaching staff down there in Tampa Bay, man. I think, you put a guy in the right position and you can watch him excel.
I guarantee you Cleveland would like to have that rethought up right now when you're looking at with Deshaun Watson going on here.
What a mess.
This is going to be interesting here, okay? Pittsburgh at Washington. Both Washington and Philadelphia face each other on Thursday. So how do you see this one? Now, they're home, and the Eagles have to go on the road to Dallas, and Washington only has to travel a little bit down 95 to go play this Philly team here. Pittsburgh, Washington, man, that could take a lot out of them for that Thursday night ball game because that's a physical football team, that Pittsburgh team. How do you see this here? This will be a tight game, and this will be a tough game here for the Commanders. We'll learn a lot more from them. How do you see this one?
Yeah, it's a huge game for both teams. I mean, they're both in first place. The Steelers are in first place.
Both are in first place.
Yeah, not too many expected these teams, at this point in the season to have 7 wins and 6 wins, at the midpoint of the season. Now, we were kind of bullish on them. I went over 6.5 wins for the Commanders. You liked them to win the division. I went over 7.5 wins for the Steelers, but I didn't expect this fast, these teams to come out this fast. This is really impressive for both teams. And both coaching staffs have done a great job. Everything's bounced their way. This game feels like one of those games where the team that has the ball last is going to win the game and cover the spread. And after what I saw Jaden Daniels do to the Bears, it kind of scares you betting against them. I mean, the kid's got that X factor. The kid's got that will to win, that resiliency, that no matter what's going on, he's going to find a way. So it's always scary betting against guys like that. And I always talk about it with Tom Brady. You can't quantify greatness. And I don't want to put Jaden Daniels in that, same upper echelon yet, but that kid's pretty darn good. The Steelers, however, they do have a 3-game winning streak. One of the better defenses in the NFL. When you look at the turnover margin, I think they're both like top 5, so they're really stingy with the football. Mike Tomlin, though, he's had great success against rookie quarterbacks. Anytime he's faced a rookie quarterback, I think they've won the game 81% of the time. So he gives rookie quarterbacks some problems. But like I said, this kid's pretty good. From a price perspective, from a betting market perspective, you're getting 3 points with the Steelers. You got to nibble on the Steelers a little bit, especially with that type of defense. But again, I'm not rushing out to bet against Jaden Daniels, man. That kid scares me.
Absolutely. I personally think that the job that Cliff Kingsbury and Brian Johnson, the former offensive coordinator of the Eagles, have done with him has been remarkable. By the way, he looks like he fits. And I know it's been too soon. And I'm not going to go crazy over 8 games here, but boy, I mean, he just plays with a calmness in that pocket, and he looks like a top 10 quarterback right now. I mean, just the way he's playing ball.
Well, he is. And I'm going to give you a stat. He's 7-1-1 against the spread. I don't remember any rookie quarterback ever in the history of the NFL coming out 7-1-1 against a Vegas number. Like, they don't know how good this kid is. Their numbers have been wrong on this team and this kid.
Absolutely, man. Has Minnesota found themselves again? And you got a Jags team right now that, played really their asses off against the Eagles. One thing I will say about the Jacksonville Jags, I mean, they got great edge rushers with Walker and with Allen. They can get after the quarterback. They're going to have to get after Sam Darnold. But, I mean, look, Minnesota, in my opinion, I think they're I think they're just a balanced football team. I don't know how great they are because I'm going to do this, Godfather. I'm not going to go, hey, Darnold, I'm in. I think as well as he's played, he's still the pause factor for me.
Yeah, and you've seen a little bit of a regression after week 5 of the NFL season.
They've walked back a bit.
Yeah, but they did play the Lions tough. I mean, this is a very gritty team. The line opened up on the Vikings. I think it was like 3.5. It's up to 7. Trevor Lawrence, I think he's going to be a game time decision. I don't know if they've announced it yet. But if he doesn't play, it's going to be really tough for the Jags. Even though Mac Jones is a backup, I mean, the kid was, he was on some really bad Patriots teams, but he did throw 46 touchdowns over the last 3 seasons, so he could throw the ball around. Jags have been very unlucky this year. They've lost a lot of close games. I think in the 7 losses, 5 of them have been by 5 points or less. And you saw against the Birds, they're very resilient. They keep coming back. It's not like they've given up on the season. The total dropped from 47 to 43. I think that's a little light. Minnesota has one of the better offenses in the NFL. The Jags have, I think, the worst passing defense and opposing yards per pass attempt. So I think there's going to be some points scored. I like the over 43. But again, 7 points in the NFL is a ton. I didn't bet the game yet, but gun to my head, anything over 7 points, I'd probably take the Jags. But I would sit back and wait because if Lawrence definitely ain't playing, you might see that line go up even higher.
Are we sleeping on the Chargers? Look, Tennessee, I don't know what the hell this point spread is. It's probably 70. I mean, they're just so bad right now. The Chargers are playing at SoFi Stadium, and Herbert is having a good year. People don't know what is going on there. They're really good at running the ball. Are you a fan of the Chargers? I mean, especially too this year. I mean, do they look like they're going to be a playoff team?
I mean, I'm a fan of the coach, fan of the quarterback. I'm a fan of their defense. I'm a fan of the professionalism that Harbaugh has brought to the Chargers. They were a dysfunctional team for the last few years, and now they look like, they might not be the best team in the NFL. They might not be the most talented, but they're strictly business. I like the way they're playing football. They're 7.5-point favorites here. Totals at 39. The Chargers have started to blow out teams the last couple of weeks, even though it was the Browns and the Saints. So, that it is what it is. But the Titans ain't any better than those two teams. And the Titans rank, I think, either dead last or second to last to the Raiders in the turnover margin. So, once they start turning over that ball, it's hard to bet on a team like Tennessee. Before the season started, I thought Tennessee was going to have big problems. I bet them at 11-1 on my money to end up with the worst record in the NFL. So I'm hoping they lose again this week, which they probably are. But again, the Titans do have one of the better defenses. And if they don't turn the ball over, they can hang around. So if you want to bet the Chargers, time into a teaser with some of those other teams we talked about. Take them down to pick them or maybe -1. And that's a little bit safer because Tennessee does have a good defense. And I think Levis is starting again. So if they get lucky and they don't turn the ball over, which, I mean, they've turned the ball over, I think, in every game this season. And they have the second worst turnover differential. Then they could stick around. So just take the Chargers in the teaser.
Love it. Oh, by the way, Sue, obsessions are big asses and big boobs and beer. That's my obsessions. All right. We go on here now. Jets at Arizona in Phoenix. The Jets. How do you see this one? Aaron Rodgers versus Kyler Murray.
Man, if the Jets don't win here, it's over.
Over.
They can't go 3-7, Dan. I mean, they still got tough games against Seattle, against the Rams, against Miami, against Buffalo. And the Jags, Jags like to hang around. So if they're going to have to sweep everybody the rest of the season for them to make the playoffs. If they don't win here against a pretty good Arizona team that we liked before the season started. We went over 6.5 wins on the Cardinals, and we're almost there already. But again, Arizona's not looking to lay down either. So both teams want to win. I mean, the Cardinals are in first place in the division, regardless of the fact, I think their point differential is like -7. So they've kind of, exceeded expectations. Got a little bit lucky on the football field with things that have happened during games. I didn't bet it yet, but New York, they still got a pretty good defense. If anything, I kind of lean towards the Jets -1. Probably cash a ticket, man. This is a big game for that team. They have to win here, Dan.
Dude, if not, Aaron Rodgers will be in the teepee smoking out of that peace pipe come Monday afternoon if he don't get this done. Now, I haven't told you this yet, but I'm moving. So over the weekend, I'm probably going to be paralyzed by Monday. But so we've been finding things here. And here's Big Sills versus the Detroit Lions here. And to go along the line now of the Lions, Detroit at Houston. Who do you like in this one? By the way, Houston, because not having Nico Collins, C.J. Stroud looks like he's been struggling a little bit. And also the injuries to Joe Mixon has also made that offense not look good. Detroit go in there and mow them over here, or do you think this game is going to be close?
Well, the bookmakers are giving you 3.5. They're giving you that hook. I think they're trying to reel you in on the Texans. It's hard taking the home dog here. I mean, Detroit Lions, they've been a cover machine when it comes to the point spread, when it comes to the Vegas line. I think they're like 40-15 against the number. They've covered 72% of their games the last 55 games. So this is a team that outperforms the market. It loves to cover football games. And like you said, no Nico Collins, no Diggs. Those guys are probably worth 60% to that team's offensive production. So they're huge losses. In a market, you're always looking to get the right price. Plus 3.5 is the right price on the Texans, but sometimes the best decisions you make are the ones you don't. And I'm not going to bet. I think the right sides are the Texans, but I'm not betting the game because Detroit is that good, man.
Monday night game, Miami at the Rams. I mean, Tua played well last week, but the Rams, I mean, I still think the Rams have a shot at winning the NFC West because I think that thing is so close. And I think once they get healthy and they get their guys back, I think the Rams are right there. I like the Rams in this one.
I mean, they're at home. The price they're laying one's kind of cheap, a little scary. Seems like the bookmakers are, begging for Rams money as of right now. 65% of all the early action, the public action, has been on the Rams. So I never really want to be on the public side, but I guess I would lean Rams. Better quarterback, better head coach. Total's kind of high. It's at 50. I think they're going to score a ton of points in that one, but I kind of agree with you. I kind of like the Rams here.
Some college ones here. Canes cover Georgia Tech?
Who's Georgia Tech beating all season? Nobody.
FSU. Or as I like to say, FS who?
Yeah, they got no quality wins on the season.
Nothing.
They got losses to Syracuse, Louisville, Dane beat them, Virginia Tech beat them. And if you look at the teams they've beaten this year, I think those teams have a combined record of 15-29. The line's 10.5, 11.
That's actually lower than I thought it was because it's a hard offense because they run that bullshit triple option there, and you don't really see that thing a lot, and that's why it's a hard team to defend. That number kind of shocks me a little bit that I thought it was going to be in the 20s. You're saying it's 10 to 11.5? Huh.
Yeah,
they're expecting a closer game then.
It opened 12, went down to 10.5.
Wow.
I saw 110 pop up. I took Miami minus 10. And the reason why I took Miami is Georgia Tech ranks, I think, 73rd in college football in the turnover margin. Defensively, they're ranked 77th in the nation. Offensively, mediocre at best. And at the quarterback position, no one's better than Cam Ward this year in college football. It's just my opinion.
It is top offense in the league.
Yeah, so unless Miami, turns the ball over 3 times in this game and makes a bunch of, blunders and brain cramps. I mean, I thought laying 10 was cheap in this matchup, man. I like Miami here.
This is an interesting one. Georgia at Ole Miss. Tell you what, Georgia drops this here, man. I mean, that would mean 2 losses, and Ole Miss kind of controls their own destiny if they win this ball game here. And you're talking about now trying to figure out and rounding out the 12 teams because it's a 12-team tournament this year here. Imagine Georgia here dropping this game here. How do you like this? It's at Ole Miss. I mean, It's a pretty interesting ball game this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, Carson Beck, he seems like he regressed the last.
The quarterback they had there a couple years ago that won the national championship for them, Kind of reminds me of that guy. He's like a 5th rounder.
Yeah. So, and then if you look at Ole Miss's quarterback, Jackson Dart, he's got the 5th best odds to win the Heisman at 16-1. So compared to Carson Beck, I think Carson Beck's like at 80-1. So, this year he's been a much better quarterback. And obviously this game is huge to both teams, but I don't think Ole Miss can afford to lose another game or else they're done, right? They're not going to make the playoffs.
Yep.
It's over. While Georgia, if they come up short, they might still get in. I mean, let's be honest. You know what I mean? Statistically, Ole Miss, their defense is ranked higher than Georgia's. The Rebels rank 62 spots better than Georgia in the turnover margin. So they're stingier with the football. Coaching edge, all right, I give it to Kirby over Kiffin, right? But I think the game's a coin flip. I mean, they're giving you 3 points in a coin flip. It's at Ole Miss. Give me Ole Miss +3, man.
Yeah, right. Wow. Okay. How about this one here? This has to be an elimination game, right? Both teams roll into this with 2 losses, and it's in Baton Rouge at Death Valley. Alabama, could you ever imagine this? The first tournament with 12-team tournament not having Alabama in it, I mean, would be unbelievable for that tournament to get underway without having Alabama in it. I mean, Bama LSU. I mean, they dropped that sick game to Vanderbilt, which is probably going to come back to haunt them here in this. And LSU, that loss that they had to USC at the beginning of the year has to look awful because USC's losing to everybody now, including Maryland. I mean, how do you see this game here at Death Valley? This is a pretty big game.
Well, I mean, the turnovers killed them in that game against USC.
Yeah.
And if you look at the team overall, they're ranked 55th in the nation in turnover margin. So that's been an issue for LSU all season, while Alabama's ranked 12th. So the stingier these teams are with the football, the better the result is going to be on a week-to-week basis. But I think LSU's quarterback has outperformed Jalen Milroe this year. I think he's the better quarterback. Defensively, Alabama has the edge. I kind of like LSU. I don't know. Call me now. I kind of like LSU a little bit +3. I mean, it's probably the right side, but again, they got to win the turnover battle. If they don't, then Alabama's going to go in there, shut them down defensively, and it's going to be a wrap. But if you look at the quarterbacks Alabama has played all season, this is the best quarterback they've faced. They really haven't faced a bunch of good quarterbacks. Western Kentucky, they had a bench quarterback. Wisconsin, when they played them, I think they faced a backup quarterback. Missouri, they faced another backup quarterback there. They really, so this is the best quarterback they've faced all year. I kind of like LSU, man. I kind of like LSU.
Always remember, bet with the Godfather and Sue, big asses and big you-know-whats. How you doing? All right. Folks, hey, Big Godfather, tell them where they can find you, my friend.
You can find me partying all week because Donald Trump won the election. And you can find me on X at Philly Godfather. You can follow me at the website, thephillygodfather.com, and every Friday, 5:30 p.m. on the greatest show in the world, the Dan Sileo Show.
You got it. Godfather, I love you, man. One of my favorite segments of the week. Have a great weekend, brother.
Good luck, guys.
All right. Don't forget, folks, to check us out Sunday. Pre-game show, post-game show. Please hit the like button. Fabulous week. We thank you. Wish me luck. No, I'm not moving it. I'm moving house to house. I don't have enough money to move to another state yet. What are you, crazy? Take me $25,000 to get the hell out of this thing. Hey, thank you guys very much. Wish me well. I'll need it, okay? I'll keep you updated over on my Twitter page. Have a great one. God bless every one of you. Thank you for all you do for us. Xander, Big Joe, thank you very much. 2 to 6 on Monday. Don't forget pre- and post game on Sunday. We'll see you on the flip side.